And we are at 26 councillors, so basically we're double the number we were last time, so that is awesome. Just a little note on how we proceed. So if you're not familiar with how council works, so we function using Robert's Rules. It can be a little bit disorienting at first if you're not used to the procedure, but if there's something that you want to do or you want to say, just raise your placard and I'll try to guide you through it as best as possible. So I'm going to try to spend a bit more time explaining stuff as we go, just so that you can kind of catch up and understand what's going on. Just in terms of council comportment and functioning, so respect is the name of the game. I respect you, you respect me as the chair, as well respect your fellow co-workers, or your fellow colleagues, sorry, so executives, councillors. So what that means is basically when somebody is talking, you are not. The person who has their placard up, I will call on them and then they'll have the speaking rights. So if you're talking in the background, that's definitely not acceptable, and I'll definitely call you out on that as well. So the way that the agenda works, it's been sent out in advance along with the documents. There's a couple of modifications that can be made in the approval of the agenda, and you'll see that as we go along. So each agenda point is allotted a maximum of 20 minutes. That doesn't mean we have to go to 20 minutes, but it's just at 20 minutes we call time. If there's any necessity for extra time, then a motion can be made to add some on. As well, for each individual speaker, it's 2 minutes. So if you're getting close to your 2-minute turn, I'll kind of wave to you and just signal to wrap it up. In terms of the motions, usually when somebody makes a motion, they'll say their motion with the whereas clauses and the be it resolved. Someone will second it, and then that person will have first speaker's rights on the motion, and then the floor will be open to discussions. That's when we go back and forth. You can just raise your placard and I'll kind of signal to you that I put you on the list, and then we'll just go from there. That's pretty much it. Yes, Isaiah?
Did everybody who's a counselor and executive get pizza outside of my salad? Quick nod of approval. If you do not want pizza or you don't want anything, it's okay. It's there, but like, I want to hear the complaint at the end that I didn't get any food. Speak now, forever hold your peace. Otherwise, it will go as people please.
All right, thank you. And that being said, there's always food at council, so don't eat dinner before coming.
Oh, no, don't eat dinner.
All right, thanks, Isaiah. So that being said, we can get on with the agenda. Are there any questions before we begin? Perfect. Okay, just a couple of excusals to deal with first. So if you're going to miss a meeting or you think you're going to be absent for more than 60 minutes, just send me an email and then council can request your excusal by a motion. If not, then you use up one of your absences. So all councillors get 2 absences, and then on the third one, they're deemed automatically resigned. So if you get an excusal, it means that you don't count one of your absences. So today I have excusals from Maha, Howard, Arad, and Elias in terms of in terms of councillors, and Patrick in terms of executives. Yes, Saman? Okay, we have a second to excuse Aman. Is there any opposition to excusing everyone? Sorry? Is there opposition?
No.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so that carries unanimously. Just in terms of voting as well, if it's something that doesn't seem contentious, I'll just ask the room if there's any opposition. If there's nothing, we'll just call it unanimous and move on. And as well, there's a little handy guide on the back of your placards for Robert's Rules. So if there's something that you want to do, you can use one of the motions here as follows, and it gives you a bit of information about whether there's debate, whether you can amend the motion, and what the numbers are required for the vote. So that being said, we're on approval of the agenda. So at this point, it's an opportunity for councillors or executives to modify the agenda. So that means adding, removing, amending stuff. We try to send everything in by the Friday. So this is kind of like emergencies that maybe didn't come up on time. Yes. Sorry, I don't know your name yet. Hirsch. Yes.
I move to pull the clubs committee meetings out of the consent agenda.
Okay, so I'm going to put those under substantive. So substantive is where we put stuff with motions, because we're going to need to either approve or not approve the report in the end. So I'll just add that. Clubs and Space Committee. Yes, Lee?
I would like to add a motion to substantive.
Okay.
Creation of ad hoc fee levy committee.
Okay. Yes, Isaiah?
I'd like to add a point about just council food.
Okay.
So that
Just under informational?
well, kind of like, I want either maybe like a motion or just like some guidelines to ask.
Okay.
council to see what they want to go do going forward.
Okay. I'll just keep going this way and then come back around. Elise?
I'd like to add royal committees for appointments.
Okay.
What?
It's there. Or it should be. Keep going around. Naomi?
I'd like to pull out the academic caucus
Okay.
minutes.
All right, folks, we're amending the agenda, so if we could just keep quiet, please. Caucus. Going around.
Point of information.
Yes?
Is appointments committee was on there, right?
For
appointments.
Yep, it is. Yeah,
Okay,
it's a seat.
excellent.
And I add another seat. Salman?
I saw your report and I saw Lindsay resigning.
Mm-hmm.
Lindsay was also in CCSL, so it
Oh,
means we
that's
have
good to know.
a 1 empty spot in CCSL.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Eduardo, you deal with CCSL, right, wherever you are? Yeah, perfect. I'll just put that.
It's community.
Okay, is there anything else to modify, amend, anything like that? I think we're all good. Sorry? Oh, I did not. I wrote at the end. Okay, so if there's nothing going forward, we just need a motion to approve the agenda and all items under consent. Isaiah?
A motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, do we have a second? Hershey? All right, is there any opposition to approving the agenda? All right, so that carries unanimously. And my apologies, so in 2014, the CSU took a motion to read the territorial acknowledgement motion at the beginning of the meeting. My apologies, I got carried away with the welcomes and forgot to do that, so I will do that now. So we would like to begin by acknowledging that Concordia University is located on unceded Indigenous lands. The Ganyan-Gehaga Nation is recognized as the custodians of the lands and waters on which we gather today. Montreal is historically known as a gathering place for many First Nations. Today it is home to a diverse population of Indigenous and other peoples. We respect the continued connections with the past, present, and future in our ongoing relationships with Indigenous and other peoples within the Montreal community. So usually we just do that at the beginning of every meeting. And that being done, okay, so we are on 5A, which is new counselor introductions. And Matthew, if you could just read your motion. Sorry, I don't know who you are yet. Oh, there you go.
Caught me there. Give me 1 second.
Can the clarification
Yep.
the updated?
Yeah, I'm just formatting it, sorry. While we do this. Oh, just on that note, so all the amendments to the agenda, I just typed them up, PDF it, and then put it into the Facebook group so you have access to it. Sorry about that, Matthew, didn't mean to interrupt.
So, just what I
Yeah.
had said originally.
Yeah, just the motion, and then what's gonna happen is we're gonna vote on it, and then if the vote is yes, which I presume it will be, then we'll go around the floor and do introductions.
So yeah, excuse the lingo, but I put into motion that every new counselor introduce themselves briefly for a period of 1 minute and to explain their motivations as to why they ran for council.
Thank you. We have a second. Salman, is there any opposition to just having an introduction from the new counselors? All right, perfect. So that carries unanimously. So I guess we will go this way, starting with you, Matthew.
No.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Mitchell.
Hi, my name is Mitchell Schechter. I'm a third-year accounting student at JMSB. What I'd like to see from the council is to provide a more transparent view of everything we do, and also just to make sure we allocate our resources in the best way possible to make students' lives the most fruitful that they could be. Thank you.
Thank you. Matthew.
Hi, my name's Matthew, and I'm a third-year accounting student in JMSB, and I joined council because I wanted to diversify the views of council a little bit. I'm the president of Conservative Concordia, and while my views aren't the most favorited at the university, I think that having civil discourse and just giving different opinions will help improve the student body overall, and I hope to improve the student life of people who voted for me and the rest of Concordia students as well.
Thank you. Going forward, Jeremiah, is it?
No,
Sorry,
it's me.
Lauren.
Hi, my name's Lauren Perozic. I'm a second-year marketing student, and I joined council just to be involved with Concordia and to give back.
Thank you. Now it's Jeremiah.
Hello, my name is Jeremiah, and I'm 21 years old, and I'm a commerce student. I'm a student in management more specifically. I joined the Concordia Student Union because I wanted to gain more experience in the political scene, and I also wanted to make a difference and represent the students more specifically. I feel my answer is going to be more broad once I gain more experience.
Thank you. Moving forward, sorry, I don't know your name yet.
My name is Sean. Hi, I'm Sean. I'm a fourth year student in software engineering, and I ran to hopefully, increase transparency within the CSU and improve student life in general, and especially for the engineers who I'm responsible to.
Thank you. And Hirsch?
My name's Hirsch. I'm a third or fourth year mechanical engineering student. I'd like to see the CSU take a more active role in promoting things that actually make a difference in the day-to-day lives of students. The favorite example, I guess, among some people in this room would be cleaning the bathrooms. That's it.
Great, thank you. Moving forward, Peter? Is there anyone else? Sorry, I can't see the back.
He's not here at the moment.
Okay, we can go back to people if they're not here though. But Peter, welcome back.
Hey, so I'm Peter. So as some of you guys might know, I'm a retaining council because I was on council 2 years ago. So I'm just hoping to coming back again and then work in favor of the fine arts students and hoping to do more work for the fine arts students at large.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I don't even hear you.
Selena.
Oh, Selena, hi.
Yes. Hi everyone, my name is Selena. I actually entered council because I wanted to be more included, as I tried in the past, and I wanted to be a voice for engineering students because actually I see a lot of potential, and I feel like we should focus less on politics and more on financial feasibility. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes. Sorry, what's your name?
Hershey.
Hershey, hi.
Hi, my name is Hershey Blackman, and I represent independent students. I'm very excited to be on council because historically independent students are almost never here, and this is like sort of an historic moment. And I'm looking forward to making education more accessible for independent students and making it financially more accessible for them as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think the last time we had independent students was 2015, if I'm not mistaken, so welcome to both of you. All right, so thank you so much for taking the time to introduce yourselves. If there's nothing further on this point, we can move on to the Liberal Arts College presentation. And we have a computer up here for you. And
hi. Nice and close.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that should work.
Will that do it by itself though?
Will it change by itself? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know if there's a way to change by itself.
Do you have a wireless mouse?
No, I don't.
You can always click the. Yeah, you're good.
Great, so I can just click here.
Yep.
Okay. So, hi everyone. My name is Talia Stefanik, and I'm a third-year student at the Liberal Arts College. And I don't know if all of you know what the Liberal Arts College is, but basically we're a really small community that is a multidisciplinary program that focuses on cross-sections between philosophy, history, literature, poetry, art history, and so forth. A little bit about our community. We are really small classes. We have close relationships with our professors. Because of our multidisciplinary background, we really have people coming from really diverse academic backgrounds who are interested in how history and how great minds work. And some of people have actually come here to support me. So if you want to say hi, that's basically the LAC almost in its completeness. So a little bit about myself. I'm a professional production designer for film and television, and basically what that means for my slides is I specialize in psychedelic children's television. I promise you my experience extends beyond that, but if you ever need a life-scale cat theater made out of cardboard, I'm definitely the person you should call. So, but basically really what that means is that I have a lot of experience in managing large-scale budgets and coming up with creative solutions with a really small timeline. So, what is the liberal arts salon? Basically, what I want to propose is we're a transformation of the LAC of the LAC lounge into an interdisciplinary cultural hub to bring together all the departments across the university and create new forms of conversations that aren't segregated from departments but brings people together. Where is the LAC? Basically, we're on 2040 Rue McKay, which is right across from the Hall building. It's a very centralized location, really accessible to almost everyone at the university. It's a really beautiful building. It has a kind of a 19th century townhouse vibe, but unfortunately what's seen on the outside isn't necessarily represented on the inside. Basically, as you can see, I've mapped out the ground plan in SketchUp just to get a basic idea of what it looks like. We're not looking to make any structural changes. Most of the changes we'll be making are cosmetic. So this is just to give a general idea of the kind of the bare bones of the project. Here's a picture of what the LAC Lounge looks like right now. As you can see, it's a little bit sad, a little bit clinical, and a little bit gray, but most importantly, it doesn't facilitate the kind of events that we want to host. The couches are really hard to move. They all have these kind of steel bases. It's not really a great place to have debates or expositions or anything of the kind, so we want to renovate the space to make it more accessible, and what we propose is as such. So this is the template of the redesign for the lounge. Basically, what's important here is we want to make it vibrant and inviting and exciting for people to come into who don't know us, who want to spend time in the space. We want to create conversation pieces, not just with people and bringing in different people from the different departments, but in the objects themselves through aesthetic design. For example, like we really want to focus on having eclectic furniture and stuff coming together from donations, some new things, but mostly from Kijiji and found objects. We also want to create this kind of like traveling art wall with different pieces that's not just about artwork or different representations, but like that involves student artwork and also things that might not be artwork, like a paper you failed or maybe a paper you did really well and next to each other. Like I want to create conversations with the things and about, well, what is art? And so that even in the objects themselves, they're instigating these kind of critical conversations amongst different people. The next aspect, this is our kitchen area. As you can see, it's a little bit cluttered and kind of privileges the garbage. What we're hoping to introduce is I basically just want to extend that countertop over so that way the garbages can pull out instead of, and we can open up some of that counter space. Have like a nice cabinet to put coffee cups and stuff to be able to host events, as well as more shelving units there to have cups and stuff for when we host our events. And then finally, the most important part, so this is just the reverse look of the room, where we have this really nice big window and a table to work, but again, it's not movable. You can't put the table anywhere, it's massive, it's cumbersome. And what we want to suggest is really making it into like a vital show space so that we can have people do poetry readings, we can have people talk about their new economics project, we can have an exhibition. And what I want to do with the design with the tables, so instead of one big table, we have two tables that are actually vintage doors that are either going to be on sawhorses or on folding legs, so that way they can be moved out of the way, the space is opened up, and it's just incredibly more versatile. So basically, and this is just some examples of like what we can do with the doors to kind of give like a punk rock vibe to the doors, and then focusing on like data influences, but I really want to include student-based art, so these are just examples. So basically we want to turn the LAC Lounge in 2019 from this to this in 2020. Now, the budget that we're asking for is $11,427.12. It's very specific. Basically, you've all seen the budget, and I hope you have a chance to look it over. It's a little bit detailed, so I'm not going to go over too many specifics, but just to bring out a few points. Within the furniture budget, as I said, we really want to focus on getting things secondhand and donated as much as possible. But again, we have a contingency there for just in case we can't get all of that together, which in my professional experience is always the case. But again, I really want to prioritize finding objects. And then the second part is the honorariums for transport and food. Everything's going to be volunteer-based, so I really want to make sure we have a little something to be able to feed our volunteers so they don't die during the week, and as well as we will need some professional help with doing the custom carpentry job of elongating the countertop and just making sure that the bookcases are installed properly, and I know a lot of people who can help with that. And then there's the budget you guys hopefully all have. So how are we going to do this? Basically, what this project is founded on is the LAC Curatorial Committee. And what that is we got the position voted into the LAS executive team, which is our student society for the LAC. And so that way it has a life beyond just my own relationship as a student, and that it actually is involved within the LAC community. And it's a group of about 7 of 10 people who are going to be responsible for curating and organizing these events. So the way that we've separated the process is by first into sourcing, which means finding materials, finding the donations, curating the artwork for the actual build, and then the building, which is painting, installing, doing the furniture and the custom build, and then finally the event planning, which is about curating the interdisciplinary events. So when is this going to happen? So basically between November, December, and then into January, it's all about sourcing and collecting material into a large Excel sheet that I've made and that we're collecting on a Google Drive. In January, hopefully we'll be able to start buying and picking up materials. And then the week of the 24th to the 29th will be our installation. It's reading week, so there won't be a lot of students around, but at the same time, the people who are Montreal based will be able to come in and help. March 2nd will be our launch, which will be opening it back up to the students. And then on March 26th, our first event, our first interdisciplinary event. So what does an interdisciplinary event look like? Basically, the Curatorial Committee's focus is going to be on bringing together different departments and creating conversations that wouldn't otherwise get an opportunity to happen. So this can have many different faces. It can be panels, debates, exhibitions, performances, readings, and talks. I don't really want to make it one fixed thing, and we hope that with the people who have different ideas and different things they want to talk about, we can make it organic and create different things each time, sometimes combining maybe 2 or 3 of these different elements. Who will this affect? Really, the university at large. And I know this might sound outlandish and overreaching and something very political that people like to say, like it's going to affect everyone, but that is sincerely what we mean. What's going to make this project special and what it's going to make it work is the Curatorial Committee commitment to finding people who don't usually have conversations with each other. We want to have the philosophy department have conversations with the economy department, in conversation with the Irish studies, in conversation with psychology, working with études françaises and journalism. We want to create these opportunities for voices to be heard, to meet each other, and for those communities to overlap and be able to hear more from each other, make connections, and build a network. Another part is that we really feel that undergraduate research is something that's undervalued at Concordia. There's a lot of think tanks and labs that happen on the graduate level, but doesn't really have the same effect on the undergraduate. So we really want to tap into that potential, and while we're bringing in professors and students and lecturers and even people outside of Montreal, professionals and artists, we really want to privilege this kind of undergraduate research and show our seriousness in the really diverse way that undergraduate research is really bringing new things to the university. And how are we really going to do that? I mean, realistically, the room can hold about 50 to 70 people at capacity. So how then do we actually have that far of an outreach? And really what's going to end up happening is that, as I said, it's based on specifically picking departments each time in each new event to make sure we're constantly introducing new voices inside the events. And then the way to keep them connected is by having a salon newsletter, which we will have every month. And that is a way of curating a digital life beyond just the physical meeting. So that way, if somebody from the economy department or accounting has a project going on, they're able to post it in the newsletter, be able to connect with different members, and it'll create this growing network as the months and the years go by in this project. And finally, we want to keep the booking available to the university at large. So let's say you have a book launch or a department magazine launch or a poetry reading or a small performance that you want to perform. We want to make sure that the room is available for people who might not want to be part of the interdisciplinary events, but who want to take advantage of the space. And that's it. Thank you.
So at this point, we have about 10 minutes left to the agenda points. So are there any questions for our presenter or any discussion? Yes, Esther?
Yeah, so thank you very much for your presentation. I do agree with, I think it's a great idea. It's just there are a lot of clubs who don't have spaces, and you already have a space, so I'm kind of conflicted about that, even though I find that it's a great idea. I was just wondering what you'll do with the furniture that's going to be removed.
We're actually.
Sorry. And I was just wondering how many volunteers there'll be for the honorariums and just
for the honorariums.
Well, how many volunteers there'll be?
You mean to do the installation?
Yeah.
Okay. So to your first point, I mean, that's a really good point. But I think the difference is that although we have a space, you can't do anything in it other than sit there and wait between your class and eat your lunch. You know, it really doesn't facilitate the kind of group involvement in the kind of panels that we want to host. And we really think that although an aesthetic change might not seem like something that can affect everyone outside of the LAC, I think that by having a central point that can draw in attention, you know, in a way that people will want to come to a space that looks different than other outside of university. And so we really want to encourage people coming to that space through the aesthetic draw and hope to include as many people as possible. So it really isn't just about the LAC community. And with the volunteers, really, we have a sign-up sheet that's already ongoing. We, in my budget, I think I have about 4 honorariums, so that's 4 professional people that I want to bring in, but everyone else is going to be volunteer based on who's available, and I'm hoping for about 10 people for each day, but those people will probably be shifting. So not everyone could donate 5 days of their time, because it's going to be about a 5-day installation process, but we'll hopefully be able to get about 5 to 10 people per day, yeah. But realistically, I've done projects at this scale before. If it was just 4 people every day, it would be possible as well.
Thank you. Anna?
Thanks a lot for coming today. I think it's a good project. You know, you guys have everything already planned to make the renovation fruitful and integrated to the whole school. I just had a question about the honorariums.
Yes.
Will it go to students?
Yes, well, that is the #1 goal, is to find people like myself who have professional experience, who are students, who can bring that. So when it comes to the artists and the designers, for sure. I have yet to meet a professional carpenter who's a student, so that's the only one where I can't guarantee will be a student, but if anyone knows any carpenters, I'm in the market, so, but we privilege students above anyone else at all times.
Thank you. Desiree?
So thanks for coming. Like, I just wanted to say we spoke together 2 weeks ago approximately.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see your motion presented and everything that you brought everyone. So yeah, to council we spoke and we drafted the motion together.
Yeah.
And also, should we talk about the motion actually that's, I don't know exactly how we should go forward.
Do you mind just reading the motion?
Yeah, yeah.
And then
I'll read the
we'll
motion.
open
So I
the...
think the water bottle really quickly.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So, and also just to speak about the renovation that they want to do, Silk is really made for these types of things. For the people that are the Silk committee, they passed projects a few weeks ago. And this type of project I find really fits what this Silk fund is supposed to do, renovating student space. So I'll read the motion. It's in the packages that were sent out. Whereas the Liberal Arts College Student Lounge is a place for students to meet and share. Whereas the Liberal Arts College Student Lounge is currently too clinical and aesthetic to feel warm or welcoming. Whereas renovations to the LIC Student Lounge would transform it into an interdisciplinary creative hub that promotes inclusivity and diverse ways of thinking through a variety of monthly events. Whereas Special Bylaw I, Section A, Subsection I, states that the Silk Fund should be used for the renovation of and/or repairs to sites considered suitable by council or representatives of the CSU to serve as student centers. Be it resolved that $11,421.12 from the Silk Fund be granted to the LIC for renovations of the student space. Sorry, computer's playing. Be it further resolved that this grant be used as detailed in the budget submitted. Be it further resolved that the budgetary impact of this motion be $11,427.12 to be taken from the Silk Fund.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second? Salman, do you want to motivate a bit more?
To me, Silk Fund really represents these types of initiatives, and yeah, there's more details also in the bylaws. I didn't want to put too many words in the motion, but we can all read it over.
Okay, thank you. Just let you know at this point, since there's a motion on the floor, we usually restart the speakers list, but since we kind of did the point a little bit backwards, I'll just keep going with the same speakers list if everyone's okay with that. Okay, Eduardo?
Yeah, I just want to say that we normally have so many projects that come in here, and you're the first one to say that we're actually going to try reusing equipment in terms of the furniture and stuff, which obviously goes in line with all our sustainability things.
Mhm.
Normally people come to us and they ask for huge amounts of money for brand new state-of-the-art equipment. And I cannot explain how refreshing it is for someone to come in here and just ask, okay, we're actually going to follow all the sustainability principles, we're still going to try and reuse equipment, find the cheapest way possible, hire local students for the work instead of going professional. Great on everything, really.
Thank you. And yeah, just to mention, I feel like I forgot one of your questions about what we're doing with the other furniture. We're actually reusing it in other places at the university. So we have a downstairs lounge, not a lounge, but like a downstairs like it's basically like a mini seminar room before our offices, and I'm going to just move all the furniture around so that it fits within the building, so we make sure that we're constantly reusing it and nothing goes to waste.
Thank you. Elise?
So, yeah, I know that you said that feels a bit too clinical, but like, let's say theoretically if the budget isn't passed, couldn't you still run events there just by moving around the furniture? I know it's kind of hard, but 2 sets of hands could move furniture.
I mean, that's true, but the question is who would want to come to those events and what's the draw? I mean, obviously there's the events themselves can happen no matter what, and I've already made it resolved within the committee and my own self-esteem that no matter what, this is my, dream project, and I'm going to do that, whether I have to put up posters myself or not. But for me, the project is really contingent, as I said, and I'm creating like a visual space that adds to the conversation, and that's not just about, that's not purely just based on people talking, but that's based on being able to be related to design and objects.
Okay.
Do you have a follow-up?
Yeah. Oh no, I just have a list of questions. So, have you asked anybody else for money, like all the different departments that
Yes, and they all rejected me because they said specifically it was based on renovations, and then ASFA recommended that I get in contact with Silk, and then I had this meeting with Desiree, and it was like a light in this pit of darkness, and she was like, oh, this is exactly what this fund is for, and I was like, hi, I love you. So it really, it was really like a match made in heaven.
And then you said that you plan on like working with all these different departments, but you put my turf, so now I have some questions. How do you, so you said like physics and things like that. How do you actually plan on getting physics? Because like you say physics, sciences, psychology, but like
yeah. So basically, for example, like at the Liberal Arts College, we do like things like the history of Western science and stuff like that. And we have conversations about like how quantum theory influences economics and like how basic like time and space influences ways of thinking and the kind of like philosophical.
Yeah, sorry. No, I was just like quantum and economics. Okay, sorry. I'm just.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but just in the sense that. The way that, I think that the way that these ideas change the way that we think makes it relatable on any level. And what we're really trying to represent is that any subject can be approached in a collective way and in an interdisciplinary way if we can find those points of conversation, and that's hopefully what the Curatorial Committee will work on. Yeah.
Thank you. So you got 2 minutes. Do you want me to put you back on at the end? Okay. Peter.
Yes, so just one question though. So you talked about bringing like presenters and stuff. So I just want to know, like, do you planning to bring in outside the school presenter as well as inside school, or just focus on inside school? And if so, are you planning to pay the people who are coming from outside the schools?
Yeah, we definitely plan on bringing outside presenters. Paying the speakers isn't something that we've explored at this stage, although as the project develops, because we're getting already close to the end of this school year, we hope that next year develops, we'll be able to maybe include some of those bigger style events. But right now we're mostly focusing on people just coming who maybe want to workshop ideas, maybe want to try different ways of looking at it, and who want to volunteer their time. But that's definitely something we want to be open to on like a larger scale.
Thank you. Jeremiah?
My question was, when it comes to the volunteer stuff, like you said, I just want to be sure, like, do you feel that you're, like, at least 90% surefire when it comes to the volunteer situation?
Oh, well, if you can tell by the people who are all showing up.
Oh, okay.
Okay. We definitely
like,
have
I was just
support.
wondering, like, that's what I was talking about. Like,
Yeah.
When it comes to the volunteers, I thought you meant, like, because you said that these were specifically your supporters. I didn't know they were also volunteered already.
Oh yeah, no, this is the LSE community. Like we're really based on like helping each other and working on projects, and yeah, and so they definitely, as I said, we've already had the list started, and people are definitely involved.
Yeah, I thought. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Isaiah.
I just want to echo what Desiree said in terms of like, one, this is what Silk is for, and for people to maybe think about it as an investment. We all know hospitality is looking into increasing their fees. Booking different spaces for events is already scarce as is. So I've already seen situations where students were able to host free events with the space as is. So if we can help students improve their spaces, it's one thing for when we look at clubs who have offices, which is kind of like they have to operate out of them, but it's another thing where it's like where we have event space. Like if we look at our lounge, the CSU, we have space where we rent to students to event. So this would just be another means to give students that don't necessarily have the budgets to book like the MB 9th floor or to book a room that has a cost associated with it.
Thank you. Naomi?
Thank you for coming, and thank you all for coming. I really liked your presentation and what you want to do with the space. I do want to fund. I'm just a bit concerned with the amount, although like the finance coordinator has been talking in favor of it, which is a bit more convincing when it comes to Silk Fund and numbers. Yeah. But I'm just still a bit concerned because you have a space and this is basically just to make it more welcoming and foster all these relationships and etc. So I'm just a bit concerned with 11,000. I would be a bit more inclined to lowering it, but I'm just not sure where to what I would lower it. I don't know what my fellow counselors think, but I do really want to fund it. I'm just a bit concerned with the 11,000.
Yeah, I mean, basically from my conversation with Desiree, what you're saying is that this is a specific fund specifically for student renovations, and from what I understand, it's a fairly large fund, and when I was researching other projects that have been funded, this is unbelievably low compared to what other people have asked for, considering that they have to get professional contractors, they're actually doing serious renovations, and this is entirely cosmetic. And I know 11 grand might seem like a lot, but as I said, like I work in the professional world of make-believe, right? Like we make things that only are supposed to last for weeks, and I would have trouble doing something for this budget. As you saw, like the other set I did was out of cardboard, and that still cost 7 grand. Like I think that it can be hard to maybe totally conceive, but when you bring in all of the elements such as hardware and expendables, cleaning products, gas for getting a truck there, transporting everything, it really does add up, and I promise you I've made it as low as I possibly can.
Thank you. Aman?
Yeah, as everyone said, thank you for coming and presenting. The presentation was really good. I have some concerns. First, you mentioned that most of the stuff is like second-handed or something, but when I checked the budget, it's mostly like the materials are mostly Home Depot and Rona, and furniture is mostly IKEA. So
well, so basically it's half-half. So the way it works is that in the room is like a certain square footage, and I've only included 1 couch from IKEA, 2 chairs, 2 rugs, which is just about cleanliness, and some lamps to ensure that they work. And that's just to basically say, just in case I can't find anything else, we have that. And then the rest of the budget is to find things secondhand. But if I can get everything secondhand, that's what I'm gonna do. So the priority is putting it secondhand, but it's important to be realistic about what is actually possible to find, because in the end, I need to be able to seat people, I need to make sure that it's all possible. So I want to make sure that I put caveats in there that I can actually be able to afford to buy the new stuff if need be.
Thank you. Did you have a follow-up?
Yeah. You said that like all students from all majors, basically, they can come and do that.
Yeah.
How do you see, for example, biology students in downtown and in your space? What's the motivation for them even?
Basically, it's not necessarily like a chill space. The motivation for bringing the interdisciplinary nature of all the other departments together is to come into conversation for a specific event. And then on top of that, if the biology student, for example, wanted to have like a workshop about a project they were working on and they felt the space was conducive to that, then they could rent the space for free. So they have those 2 options of either being involved in the interdisciplinary conversation of something maybe talking about bioethics or a conversation like that, or they can rent the space themselves for something that they're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sean?
Yeah, first off, thank you for coming. This seems like a project with a very clear vision that will bring benefits to student life. It's well budgeted and it's all sustainable as possible. However, being familiar with student spaces and their renovation, although I did note that there are 4 honorariums budgeted for in the budget, specifically carpenter, assistant carpenter, graphic designer, and a painter, I must ask if you've made sure that this project will still conform to Quebec building codes, because there are certain regulations required around like actual painting and doing work in a space and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so basically, it's not necessarily Quebec building codes, but more like university codes about what happens to what you're allowed to do with the space. And when it comes to painting everything, we're sending the whole package to the university, the facilities management, and everything's going to be approved. But essentially, what's it called? Because there's no structural changes, it's not necessarily, like, we're not actually doing anything that would require, like, law infringement other than the stuff about being able to paint. And when it comes to the why we made it honorariums and not like paid labor, it's not like by salary, it's kind of to show that like it basically is volunteer times, but if we do bring in professionals, especially if they're student professionals trying to, you know, work on their career, we want to make sure that their work is recognized and like paid.
Thank you.
What exactly are you doing with the floor?
Pardon me?
What exactly are you doing with the floors? Like just being left as is, or just like putting a rug over it?
I'm sorry, what am I doing with the
floor of the room?
Floor, yeah, so the floor, exactly. So like things like structurally, like I'm not allowed to take up all the tiles and stuff. I would love to, but I can't. I mean, what I could do with that floor. But essentially, yeah, we're just gonna do rugs. We already have like really gross rugs there, and I'm hoping to, as you can see in the list, I had some IKEA rugs just because a little freshness never hurts someone sometimes when it comes to your feet, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Matthew.
Thank you for your presentation. I thought it was really comprehensive. I just had one little question with the usage rate of the lounge. You said that there's a high usage rate among those in the general.
Amongst the students, yes.
So like just when we've seen with like Le Gym, when you know there's been overcrowding issues, and I'm just thinking, could this project in a way create overcrowding in a space like that? Given that you're opening it up to a larger and more diverse student body.
I mean, that is definitely a possibility, but I think because of the change of everyone's schedules and the fact that no one really is in the same place at the same time, it's not so much a fear. Right now, I don't know the exact number of our student cohort, but we're about like in the hundreds, right? Something like that. Zita's over there. Something like the hundreds. 160 students, and to be honest, there's no more than about 10 people at a time right now, and the capacity is about 50 to 70, so if it increases by that much, I would be surprised. I would hope so, but even if that does happen, it is probably going to be based around a specific event, not generally on like a walk-by basis.
Perfect. I just have one more follow-up, two more follow-ups, sorry. Did you do any more research on like if possibly students could do this themselves in terms of like the honorarium work?
How do you mean?
Like have you considered maybe seeking out if students can do?
No, the honorariums are for students.
No, yes, well, okay, sorry, but yeah. More about the cost effectiveness of compared to other, like given the same level of expertise and whatnot, has that been done?
I mean, yes, but realistically, we're talking about 5 days of work, so 500 is less than minimum wage for anyone in any profession. So I really don't want to go, and I know that the 500 is not tax deductible, so that's why I kept it at that limit. And but going under than that, I feel like kind of undervalues the commitment to the project.
Thank you. Sorry, you're at your 2 minutes. I'll just put you back on the end of the speakers list. And Maren?
I just have a couple of questions. So first, have you already sort of consulted the university about the painting and whatnot?
Yes, we're in the midst of, it's an ongoing conversation right now, yeah.
Because like I'm the internal coordinator, so I help like clubs with all the renovations, and all the painters on campus, they're unionized, so you're actually not allowed to paint. And if you are, it costs like $5,000 at a time where they're like overbooked.
Yeah.
So like I just see your budget, you have like Rona and whatnot. Usually you're not allowed to purchase your own paint.
Yeah, well basically, as I said, we're still in the midst of conversations like that. We're hoping to find a bit of a loophole considering it's a student project and it's funded by Silk. But if that's not possible, the other suggestion is doing peelable wallpaper. So that way we can cover and laminate the walls in something creative, but that is just, you can just peel it off and peel it on, and it won't cause any permanent anything to the building.
Did the school already sort of consent to that?
It's, as I said, they haven't, to be honest with you, it's been a kind of a slow conversation, so nothing's been 100% confirmed, but everyone that I've spoken to, from the principal of my college and our secretary who has had relationships with the school in the past, says that they don't foresee any major problems, so I'm kind of going based off of that, but I haven't had any confirmation otherwise.
And my second question is, so I know the university usually buys like office grade furniture, like us at the CSU, they're like ridiculously expensive, but they last forever.
Yes.
And here you're proposing to replace everlasting furniture with IKEA furniture, which is known to break very easily, especially when used heavily. So how do you plan on sustaining it, like sensitive furniture?
Yeah, so basically, as I said, the IKEA is not the main goal. The IKEA is just a caveat, just in case we don't get everything that we want. But, and again, we're not getting rid of any of the other furniture, so worst case scenario, we bring something up and throw some throw cushions on it, but obviously that's not what we want to do. And the furniture that we will be sourcing is secondhand, and we're only going to be choosing stuff that we feel to be structurally sound. In my profession as a production designer, it's my job to like do sourcing and buying in many different fields and like finding stuff. So I do have a pretty good eye for what is actually possible to have a long lifespan. And I'm going to be overviewing everything that we purchase and making sure that it's up to a standard. But obviously, no furniture is indestructible. But we're not going to be choosing like flimsy, wicker chairs or anything like that. It's going to be, this is a university. We want to be careful about wearability for sure.
Thank you. Okay, so at this point we're at the 20 minutes for the question period. So does council want to extend debate or move to a vote? Emma?
Let's vote.
Vote? Okay. Is there any opposition to taking a vote? Esther?
Yeah, I would extend to 10 minutes.
Okay, so there's a motion to extend 10 minutes. Is there a second? Matthew? So all those in favor of extending debate 10 minutes, raise your placards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, so the motion fails, and extensions of debate require a 2/3 majority just in general. Yes?
You forgot to abstention.
Oh, sorry. Are there any abstentions? My mistake. All right, 2.
Can I extend to 5 minutes?
Okay, so there's a motion to extend 5 minutes. Is there a second? Matthew? Okay, all those in favor of extending 5 minutes, please raise your placards. 15, all those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and any abstentions? 1, 2, so 15 over 20. Oh my god. Sorry, I'm not good at math in front of people. 75, thank you. So we get our requisite 2/3, that was really easy. Okay, so we'll extend debate 5 minutes. So that's about 2.5 speakers starting now. Salman? Yes?
For a silk vote, it's 2/3 majority, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Salman?
Yeah, perfect. Firstly, thank you so much, guys. Numbers always works, as I have seen since the beginning of our council meeting. Whoever's coming for some fun, number of people always works. So thank you so much. Coming to your funding, how you are how this project or this space is being run now. What are your resources and logistics? How you're getting fund at the moment?
We don't have any funding.
So you guys don't have any funding. So how the resources are being paid? Is there any?
I mean, we have the LAS, which funds things like coffee hour and events, and they have a very small fund. I think they have something like a few $100s. So this is really they've always had a lot of trouble getting funding in that department. So this is why this would be a really great chance to bring in some new life to the department as a whole. And as I said, people don't even know we exist. So this is a really awesome opportunity to not only put us on the map, but bring together people who might not even know each other exist.
Okay. Follow-up question. So you mentioned there are 160 students that are involved in this program or enrolled in the program. So but the space itself it's for everyone, you mentioned in your presentation. So are you guys planning to I don't know, publicize or market this place to other students? Because if this if we fund it, just for example, so we are taking it from Silk is being paid for all the students. So are you guys planning to go beyond that 160 and market and publicize this space?
Beyond a doubt, that is the quota, that is what our mission is. Basically, I mean, the way that in my head I envision it is that once we find people in different departments who might be interested in giving a talk. And I really think that the best way to start these projects, it might sound really simplistic, but start with who you know. I mean, I think we all have friends who aren't in our own department. We all know people who are working on something really cool. If you've seen it, even just heard it, or even on the online newspaper, and connecting to this. So we first start by connecting to those people, and then those people connect to their community in the same way that it creates like a chain reaction, and really that's what we're hoping to do. But when it comes to like logistically, on the Lec Curatorial Committee, we're going to have someone who's specifically in charge of marketing. So that means involved on the Facebook pages, involved on connecting to, for instance, like we already have a bit of a relationship with the philosophy department, and so like our society will be in contact with their society and their group, and so we're making sure that we tap into each of the heads of those little student societies to make sure that they have full access to and spread the word either through their emails or through the secretaries, as like we've done with Zeta and like other elements like that. Yeah.
Thank you. Hannah? Oh, sorry, you got 2 minutes.
I had a last question.
Oh, sorry, 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yeah. Hannah? Where'd you
That
go?
was my question, because I wasn't.
Okay. Yes. Melise?
Not sure if it was encompassed, but anyone can book it whenever they want, yeah? Or
Really?
anyone can book the space whenever they want?
Yes. Yeah, as long as it's not in conflict with the
Current programming?
exactly.
So for the whole thing that Miriam was saying about like the, I guess the integrity or the structural integrity of the furniture, yeah, that is a concern that like it does break, and I know like you can say like, okay, this one looks pretty sound, but once again, like the university furniture is of better quality. Wouldn't it be easier to just throw pillows on top of it to make it more aesthetic, or blankets or something, rather than buying brand new furniture? Because like,
yeah,
or even like you could put a cover on it that has whatever pattern you want, but like I just don't
It's
see
true, but again, if you break it down to cost, an actual tailored cover that'll actually fit to something and not slide off, especially that kind of levered, you would need to pre-make it, which would cost as much as a second-hand couch. The other issue is as well that, as one of your other council members mentioned, everything that we're looking to buy really is the focus of secondhand. So it's really about that kind of, we want it to be, sustainable, and we're using other things, and we're not getting rid of our furniture. We're reusing it in other pieces, in other areas of the department. And if there is any issue with a specific piece of furniture, which I'm talking things that cost like a couch for $50 or $100 or something like that, we will either have to reuse one of the other elements or find a home for something else. But we're like completely no waste and like reusing as much as we can.
The last one is so let's say you get the money and then you renovate. Who says like in 2 years you're not gonna be like, it needs another renovation?
Well, the brilliant thing about it is that once you have the structure base, so like like everything up, we're designing everything so that it's movable, so that it's like it encourages people bringing in new things. So it won't necessarily be something that requires a brand new renovation, but it's something that's going to be evolving by, for instance, like changing up the artwork on the wall, bringing in new pieces. So it's going to be something that evolves piece by piece. So we're doing the initial renovation that'll change everything, and from that point on, it'll be subtle pieces by pieces. And I can't speak to what in 10 years what the LEC is going to want to do, but the way that the design is going to be based is on like building it up.
Great, thank you. Lauren, and then we'll be done our 5 minutes.
My question was already answered.
Oh, perfect. James. Okay, do we have a second? Calling the question. Jared, is there any opposition to taking a vote, since there's 20 seconds left anyways? Yes?
Can you just clarify like what we're voting on?
So it's the motion that Desiree had read. So if you look on the, can you make this show up on the screen?
But no, I mean like the process more so. We have new people in the room of what we're voting on and still give the implications.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's not necessarily the money that we're voting on.
Yep. I will explain that in 2 seconds. Yes, Matthew?
I'd like the vote to be done on a ballot if possible, to just avoid any external pressures from just the people in the room, just so that every decision is made according to...
a secret ballot? Okay, do we have a second for a secret ballot vote?
You don't need a second for a secret ballot.
Oh, right, because we took that motion. Sorry, I always do that. Okay, so we're going to move to a secret ballot vote. Oh no, does anyone have paper?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Annual campaign.
Yes, Jeremiah?
How many votes are required for a secret motion ballot?
Sorry, for the secret ballot, we took a motion so that only if one person requests it, then the whole council does the secret ballot. Yeah, Desiree? Okay, everyone, Desiree has the floor.
Just for the new counselors, so if people haven't understood from the conversation, the Silk Fund, our student space, accessible education, legal contingency, we have $9 to $10 million inside of it right now.
Excuse me, Desiree has the floor.
Hello. So yeah, student space, accessible education, legal contingency, that's the goal of the fund. $9 to $10 million inside of it. We've accepted 3 projects, I think, to this year. We accepted some ECA, IT equipment, also some services, infrastructure, classifieds website and what do you call it? CRM. We've accepted, and also at the last Silk Fund meeting, the fund voted in favor of a motion that passed last year during last council for some MSA, the MSA prayer space renovations. So that's just the history of the fund, because we hadn't had a chance to talk about it in front of everyone.
Great, thank you. Okay, so everyone has your ballot. Is it just a quick question, Hirsch?
Yeah, it's a technical question. What do we actually write on the ballots? Do we write yes, no, or
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah, so it's yes, no, or abstain. Isaiah?
Yeah, just to follow up on Desiree's, what Desiree said about the silk, we're not voting on whether or not they get money. We're voting on whether or not they have permission to ask the committee, who will then do a thorough analysis and say whether or not they get the money. So this is not us or you, the councilors, the council body, saying that yes, they get the money. No, it's more so giving them the ability to ask permission to the committee.
The first step.
Great, thank you. Salma?
Yeah, it's a quick question. The motion says, be it further resolved that $11,421.12 from Silk Fund be granted to LAC for renovation of their student lounge. So this is basically allowing to them, like, approving this money. This
Yes.
is not sending it to any committee.
No. So what the motion's saying is, yeah. Do you wanna just clarify it?
So it doesn't matter whatever the motion says. The rules remain the same. It's in the bylaws, right? Which is above the standing regs. So if you vote yes, you're saying you give permission to the Silk Fund Committee to vote on this. The Silk Fund Committee is made up of 5 people. The purpose is to approve projects that involve student space, as well as legal contingencies and accessible education. So those 3 purposes. Who sits on this committee? Me, the general manager, a counselor, who's a man. We also have a lawyer and a professor. So, and it has to be a 4/5 majority for anything to be confirmed. So if you're worried that, what you're not voting right now is, do you approve this project? I mean, you sort of are, but there is a second line of defense if that changes your votes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Point of information, council vote really took into consideration, like Silk Fund take council vote into consideration. So it's not like no matter what you say, it doesn't affect anything. You know?
Great, thank you.
No. If Silk Fund says no.
Okay.
Okay. We don't have to.
Yes, Isaiah?
Wait, so you just said that you take into account what council said, which seems to imply that if there's a no, it can still go to Silk Fund. I'm just curious about that.
No, this is sending it to the Silk Fund Committee. Sorry, I actually misanswered the question before. I was thinking standing committee. So this is like a separate committee made up not just of counselors and executives, but of, like Chris said, a lawyer, the GM himself, and a counselor. So what happens is that, like, it just won't go to the committee if council says no. Like, it just won't
The
be
committee
sent there.
must receive it from council. So council must say yes, that's the first condition. Then Silk Fund Committee must say yes, and then it's approved.
Oh yeah, it's just that it was mentioned that what happens in council is taken into account, which seems to imply that it doesn't actually. Hey, forget the question.
Okay, can we just do one more response and then just move to the vote, Isaiah?
All right, so when it says it takes into account, it means it says on the account yes, then they get it. On the account no, they don't get it.
I thought like they
No, but what Amon was trying to say is that the Silk Fund takes a yes from council very seriously. That's the point she was trying to make.
Okay, is everyone okay with what we're voting on? Yes, one last question?
I have a point of information. So that part of the motion that we approved the 11,000 from the Silk Fund, is that like a mistake or is that like required? It's required.
It's the way it's written, because then afterwards the Silk Fund will vote on it. And that's also, if Silk Fund decides to vote no, that has happened before. Council voted yes, Silk Fund says no, then that question goes to referendum.
Did you mean the fact that the 11,000 happens twice? Or just?
This is the part that Sia was mentioned.
Oh, okay.
Okay. The committee still has full authority on it afterwards. They can say no if they want to.
To make it easier for everyone, the question is whether we want $11,421 to be sent to Silk Committee. That's it. To make it easier, like, yeah.
And then the Silk Committee is the final deciding body.
Call, yeah.
Okay, so all those in favor, you just have to write a yes on your paper. If you're not in favor, write a no. And if you have no opinion or want to just abstain for whatever reason, you can write abstain.
When you're done, just raise your hand and come around and collect everybody.
Thank you.
One question?
Well, just do it after the vote, since everyone's already voting. There's. Please don't drop them. Alright folks, just a reminder, we are still in session and it's a very small room, so when a lot of people start talking it gets very, very loud, very fast, so we could just keep our voices a little bit lower, please.
21 votes.
Alright. Okay, so Shivani, oh, I forgot to introduce you to our wonderful minute keeper as well. For all you folks who are new, this is Shivani. She saves my life every day. So we will go and count the votes.
She holds the seed. She doesn't spill it.
Does she?
We don't know that.
Well, oh, from the other day, I know you spilled tea, but not in council.
Alright, thank you very much, Talia, and for all of you for coming to spend your evening with us. Thank you so much. I think that's the heartbeat.
Yes, that's I wasn't able to send a presentation.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the one that's used for it.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's yours. Sorry.
No, it's for IHS.
Oh, okay. Your laptop.
Sorry about that.
Where's the
Do we have a laptop? Oh, damn, dog. My man just yeeted it. Does anybody have an HDMI? Yeah. It's like I brought, there's visitors to do a presentation, so it's not, so I was like, yeah, they just yeeted this whole laptop situation.
do you want to take a pause?
Wait, do you guys have an HDMI on your laptop?
We don't actually.
Does any brave soul?
We can, I can send the video to your
No. But now the problem is we do not have anybody who, in this new and age, except for Desiree, who has an HDMI.
Okay. All right, Jeremiah, did you have a question?
Yeah, but first of all, the question was asked before, it sort of was already answered by how you just have the votes. Second is, regardless of the secrecy, can you reveal the
No, we don't
counts?
do the counts for secret
No, not the
ballots.
counts, but what I mean is like the numbers for, numbers against.
Yeah, those are the counts, sorry. So like we don't say, like if it was like
Okay.
10-3 or something, we don't.
Yeah, that's also what I wanted to ask after. As a response.
Thank you. Okay, so at this point we are on point 5C, which is heartbeat movement, and we have our presenter, Jess, who is here. Hello. Oh.
That's not good, Dave.
It ties into my job, so like it's gonna be here. You know, motivating, not motivating.
You can remove the lanyard.
Well, no, because okay, what? Huh? There's no direct motion on the table. There's just something that I might want to start ad hoc committees. Wonder why I'm a closer? Because I'm cooperating with all y'all. I mean, like, don't hate, appreciate, or should I say, don't hate, cooperate.
The new one.
I don't know the.
I think we just have one more, which is Desiree.
I don't know what's going on.
So wait, Desiree, did you sorry? But then the way my life is set up, I think I should be walking by and so they're like,
Let me know when you're ready to go.
Yes, one second.
I've been trying to tell you that all the time, and it's so reassuring. Like, I love that.
No, I'm studying microphone.
No, but I love it.
So that's why I did
Yes, Jeremiah, do you have a question? Oh, folks, Jeremiah has a question? I can come to you. What's up?
He might get one of his absentee things.
He actually needs to in the beginning, so he doesn't know.
He might
What did you say? In my one class, I always bring up, yeah, all these fucking capitalism, this shit. I didn't know I'll be trying. Isaiah, are you going to do the motion? After, and I was like,
well, I don't have a formal motion because it's within, I believe this is within my executive, which is kind of like an informational presentation. Try and encourage engagement amongst the council. So I don't want to like make a formal motion.
Oh, if it's not necessary, then it's really fine. Do you want to introduce the presenters, or are they good to?
Wait, this is
something. Let me know. Alright, folks, so Isaiah has the floor.
Alright, hey everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Isaiah, External Mobilization Coordinator at CSU. Today with me, I have Jassy and Juan. They're part of LONO, which is a cool project that they're going to tell you about, and then I'm going to come back in and explain what I would hopefully like to see incorporated in the CSU.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Jassy, as you already explained. And this is Juan. We're from LONO. We're co-founders of LONO. LONO is a project, and I say software that we're utilizing for Heartbeat Project. Just to give you guys a little bit of an idea where we met, me and Juan are actually go way back at John Abbott College. We used to do a lot of community things back in the days to help people feel good, smile. So we used to post post-it notes every single locker all over, like in the whole school, 6 a.m. in the morning, and it would bring people's smile on their faces. So we used to do that. We used to give clothes and to homeless people. We used to give food to homeless people back in the days, and then later on we realized, oh, we're losing a lot of money. We're not making that much money, and we're just going to be homeless, ourselves too. So we started our own projects afterwards. We went to he went to the film industry. I went to the lumber industry. We were very, very let's say successful on our own on sites. But then one day I reached out to Juan because we wanted to work on something called LONO. LONO is a project that we started a year and a half ago. LONO stands for Locals Only No Outsiders. So it's an application that helps you find exactly what to do around you according to your preferences. And then the people who pushed us to actually start this movement, they were from LA, Shahan and Shanali. They're the ones that that started the Heartbeat movement. So Heartbeat Movement, I'll have Juan kind of take the floor. So
yeah, so really quickly, just to kind of recap. So Jassy and I, we met, and one thing that we really connected about was finding ways to better humanity. You know, we realized that a lot of the classes that we had at Abbott in business, we found ourselves seeing, okay, well, actually we had a couple business projects that we saw a big need in things that always involved humanity. We always were looking things also to make things greener, to help with animals. And we actually had one teacher in particular that he has a company called One Tree Planted. And so we were very inspired by, you know, kind of his business model that was all about, it was a for-profit company, but it was you only kind of made it big if you actually helped in a very big way. So we always said, how can we do something along those lines? And one of the things that we started was a project together called the Small Project. And going back to what he was saying, he used to pick me up early morning, like 4 or 5 a.m., and then we would go to having just post-its that we would do in class, saying like, "You're beautiful, you're incredible, you're enough." Like all these different things that we would write, and we would just put it on these post-its, and it was almost like an experiment to see how people would react to that. And we started to see a super good reaction. Like Jack's Secrets, which is kind of like the Facebook group that people would kind of anonymously post. We realized that a lot of people were like, not only this made my day, but it got to the point of even like, if I didn't, like I was honestly about to end my day, like end my life, and this actually made me rethink things. And when we saw those kinds of posts, we got hundreds of people, and we never said anything like about us.
We never said that we started this or anything like that.
Yeah, so we would just kind of like see that and we say, wow, this is powerful. So how can we do this at a bigger scale? When we started Lono together, we started a software company, which basically helps with mobile applications that are the newest kind of innovation and technology. We're going into artificial intelligence, a lot of cool things. And Lono is our application that literally finds out everything that's happening around you using real-time data, and also that's made for your interests, your passions. So imagine all of you right now, you want to figure out, what can I do in this moment? You're able to open up Lono, and it tells you everything that's happening from an experience level for you. So let's just say you want to go eat, you're able to see all the different restaurants, places that are available with your liking, right? And then with whoever you want to do it with. This is to eat, you want to go drink, you want to relax, whatever it is, Lono is the #1 experience platform that we're about actually to launch.
So, just to add to that, we wanted to put smile on people's faces through experiences, so that's the reason we actually created Lono.
Yeah, so when this comes together, like he was saying, we started working with our friends from Los Angeles. And one thing that they're doing, that they've been in the works for almost 2 years, is a really big humanitarian project that is called the Heartbeat Project. And so what it really is and why we're here is because it's a movement to, again, better humanity and connect people together, which is really what we're all about. How can we connect people together to really, in a society where we're supposed to be the most connected ever? We have all these platforms, Facebook, Instagram, all of these platforms that allow us to be connected. We are, if you think about it, the most disconnected that we've ever been. So this is what it's all about. So what we are doing here, we're going to be presenting you a video that is going to showcase a little bit about what the Heartbeat Project is. But at the core, it's to connect people through one special song. Initially, there's multiple projects it's an ongoing process, an ongoing project that starts on February 14th this year, 2020, and it's on that day, on February 14th, the day of peace and love, one song is going to be played all around the world. We already have over 20 governments that are involved in this project. We have a lot of big celebrities, which you're going to see a little bit about, and so now it's all about kind of our goal is to get 1 billion people as heartbeats to basically be beating at the same time to this song, basically, and to other projects going after that.
You feel the beat in your heart, feel it wherever you are, and that's the rhythm start.
Santosh from Sri Lanka. So I'm here to do the project for the Heartbeat.
And that's the rhythm start, just dance to the music.
We're basically here on a global mission.
And we're all here for the Heartbeat project. Beautiful concept. It's about bringing the world together. And
real culture uncut.
It has such a deep meaning and a great backstory. Our mission is to promote unity.
We need more world interaction. And it has to be infectious. everybody on this project can really make it a great cause, and then this explosion goes on around the world.
Everyone is talking about love and peace. Now it's happening with the heart people.
So just to give you guys a little bit of context, the artists that you saw there, those are of the biggest artists in Southeast Asia. So in Southeast Asia, these guys are all super famous, and they're like the biggest artists over there. And so that's the first song. It's going to be mostly them. The second song we have John Legend, who's on it. So we have a lot of big artists from different countries. We're going to have a big Latino artist. We can't say who yet, but we have basically the whole project. There's a lot of Grammy Award-winning producers, a lot of big celebrities on it. So
we also have 20 Miss Universes that are involved in it. We have like a whole country governments as well. So it's a huge movement. Canada is actually our part, so we had to bring Canada on board. And we are very connected ourselves. And we wanted to start with students, of course, like universities, because what better way to spread something that's humanitarian, but like the students themselves, right? So now here I was brainstorming with Isaiah as well. What are the ways that we can actually engage students and kind of see where we can go with this. So our goal is to create 100,000 peace points around the world, and all these celebrities, all these athletes, all these governments and all that, they're going to be creating these peace points themselves as well. And the point of these peace points is everybody just kind of getting together and standing for something really they believe in. It can be anything peaceful. All we want is actually just spread peace and love around the world on February 14th, which is Day of Love. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay, so let me just step out of this light over here so it's not in my eyes. So I see a lot of confused faces. You're like, okay, that's all fine and dandy, peace, love, but don't forget the joiner. But in terms of how I see this fitting with the CSU, well, we always complain about like transparency, so I just wanted to bring this to the council as something that like I intend to work on. The budget, to quote Arad, the budgetary impact is nil. They're not asking any money. They're not asking any resources. They're really looking for just a way to reach our students. And there's no hiding it. There's tension between the faculties. There's a bunch of different things, but like kind of like to bring people together around something that can inspire happiness. And everyone knows I'm a hugger. I like to go around giving hugs or whatnot, but we want to like create points where people come together and really engage within community in this movement, kind of like this same way that we're making the climate movement and our sustainability campaign. Moving forward, it would be like moving people in positive ways with waves of positivity.
Thank you.
So, and I think one more interesting thing is like, I think the fun fact that all music currently is at Fort.
Oh yeah, we forgot about WOW. So the frequency itself that we shot the songs on is actually 528, which actually brings your heart down, and it helps you. The people that meditate, I don't know if there's anybody meditates here or manifest. So the music you listen to actually 528 frequency at that point. The music we listen to on normal days, like all the rap, hip hop, and all that, it's all at 430, 438 or 440. Around, I think it's 438. Yeah, that actually makes you sad on a daily basis. And they started that in the 1960s. Before that, they would listen to 528 and 440, which is what now we only listen to that kind of frequency.
It's just like on the radio, that's what it is. And if you put like a plant and you put that, there's actually studies with this, and it sounds crazy, but with the two different frequencies, one plant is going to die and another one is actually going to flourish. And so it's very crazy how it's science, it impacts the human body, but we just don't really know about it, right? So it's interesting because we're doing it at that frequency and it's going to be played around the world. So
let me show you guys actually. So this is your frequencies actually right here. Here, this is a very good one to get. So at 440, you can see how, oh boy, not this.
Just close it and then it will go back.
So just take a look at the photo here, you guys will see yourselves. How this one is kind of disruptive, like more of like a destroying type of thing, and this one is just kind of, you explained it very well.
Yeah, you're next, don't worry.
This particular thing, what exactly are we looking at?
Okay, so right now you're looking at a dandelion, I believe. Or maybe a molecule, but it looks like a dandelion. It's like very like fluffs. With the 440, you see it really is destructive. It destroys everything that it goes, and it's like, just like imagine if that's your eardrum, it's like bang, bang, bang. Whereas like this one has a life still. Pardon?
Okay, I think we're kind of diverging a little bit from
just
the point.
for the metaphor speaking, this one it's flowing around. It's not destroying. It's just moving and flowing through the dandelion. Where this one's just like destroyed.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll open the speakers list. Just a reminder, there's no motion on the table and the presenters aren't seeking any funding. So if you have any questions for them, I've got a bit of a list here, starting with Hirsch.
So you guys mentioned AI, by which I assume you're referring to neural networks? Yes, no, maybe. When you were talking about AI, you were talking about neural networks, yes?
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, artificial intelligence.
Well, that's actually separate. We were just saying, so we own a company, that's a software company, but that's separate than...
That's their background.
That's not the hardware.
That's not related to the project, that is their background.
Okay. I'll...
Great, thank you. Aman?
Yeah, can I just get what you want from Concordia students?
And really engagement. So we're looking to have as much awareness of this project as possible, and actually to be able to create these peace points in different schools where people are going to be getting together and standing for something that they believe in, and knowing that okay, in Concordia there is a peace point here, here, and here.
And you're gonna be able to see that through our application. We're gonna send you a push notification. You'll see that there's a peace point close by. And all you have to do is just get there. Maybe we were thinking about different ideas. We had one idea that one guy would be standing there with a bunch of flowers, and you just grab a flower, and it's free. You just
at campus.
Yeah. And just that's you are spreading love on a day of love. That's our.
So to make it more in our culture, you know how people table at bake sales, right? Or they give out like when you're tabling. Let's say if they had like their own promo people, we book them a table. People who install the app will be able to see like, oh, it's like kind of like Google Maps or whatnot, and there's a loaner, and then it's like a loano point where they're like, oh, like they're giving out something for free. Let me go see it, and then they find out about the movement, and it's like you spread joy by giving them something or engaging them.
So just to make it clear, through an app, right? I can check that, like a point by doing something was that first
So imagine you have a map, okay? It's an application. So we have an application, and we're basically facilitating, helping the project, because for them to create a whole application, so we have an application that you're going to be able to on the map just see where are these different points. Imagine like a Google Maps, but it just looks better, and it's more user friendly. So I don't know if you can actually show.
So it'll be like this. Take a look at this. This is like a photo. Yeah.
Do you want to show the actual?
Yeah, I'll pass it around. Yeah. I'll just show them, like, as you can see, those are
show the actual UI. I think it'll be better.
I'm just showing them the photo of the when we're working on the. So here, you guys can just pass it around. If you want.
If anyone. Yeah.
So it will see like this, your location, and you see all the piece points around you.
Thank you. Hershey?
Yeah, hi. So thank you for coming. Hello. I love the music and I love your energy. But like maybe I missed it. Like I would really appreciate if you could like repeat what it is. Like is it like an app with music that you guys make, or what's on the app? What does the app do? Like maybe I missed it.
The application?
Yeah. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Basically, there is an app which these guys created, which we will be pushing to Concordia students in like we're going to work with them.
It's a free application, by the way.
It's free. There's no cost. There's no money. You download the app, and you can get like free stuff. Once you hopefully get the free stuff, you get the information about the movement and how you can join and be like, on February 14th, we're going to listen to the song at the same time and help the movement. Hopefully, Isaiah's vision to bring students together doing the same thing at the same time, no matter what faculty, no matter what race, no matter what identity.
Okay, so just ask 2 follow-up questions.
Yeah.
What is the stuff and what is the movement?
We don't know yet.
Just to put it, the Heartbeat Project is the movement, and what it's all about is about getting everyone's heartbeat at the same time and standing for peace, basically. With it, and it's one song that's been played on so we have 94.7 right now. We're talking to Virgin, to the Beat. So some of these big. So imagine this song going to be playing on repeat. We have a lot of restaurants going to be on board at cinemas, at Guzos. So the song is going to be played everywhere. We're not just in Montreal. This is just like where we're at.
Simultaneously.
Simultaneously on that day, but keep in mind that this project is not going to be the same song, but the project as a whole of the Heartbeat movement, there's plans of kind of continuing. So it's something that it's continuous in continuous motion. But imagine the project. So what we're doing to help out the project is we're offering our application so that on the application, instead of kind of having what we're planning on actually doing, it's more just going to be showcasing the different points. Imagine like a little point with a heart, and people could go together and stand for.
These are meetup points?
Basically meetup points, yeah.
Okay, and that's your
Oh, sorry, you're at 2 minutes. Do you want me to put you back on the end? Okay. Hannah?
So one thing, the first thing that comes up when you Google Heartbeat Project is an anti-abortion project, just like that makes it really.
It's a bad foundation.
But then like if like the marketing isn't like if it's not present enough to be like the first 2 searches, if you just Google Heartbeat Project are anti-abortion, that's very problematic to me.
To be honest, we have a very, very strong search engine optimization team, but it actually hasn't begun. So all of that is actually beginning in January 1st. So between January and 2 weeks, that's all going to be actually.
We just filmed the songs like we were in LA weeks ago. And then the John Legend song just got filmed last week.
You honestly don't have to worry about that, trust me.
Yeah.
I've been in digital marketing my whole life.
The second thing, the February 14th is also the day that 1 Billion Rising is a big project every year, which is to end rape culture and and to end sexual violence against women. And it's been going on since 2012. And just how are you going to make sure that it doesn't take away from that?
Because we can create a peace point just for that. You can just stand for that on that peace point.
Because 1 Billion Rising has a song that they use that has a dancer that's every year, and it's also global.
I think the more the better of these movements.
Okay.
Coming together, I don't see it as a.
It's not.
There's no competition. It's not like.
It's going to be made sure that it's not taking away from another.
I would not be worried about that.
Oh, of course, we're not trying to be political. We don't want people to be standing against Trump. We do want,
But, okay.
Thank you. Did you have a quick question, or was it to be put on the
More, I
list?
just wanted to respond to what she said. Is that
I'll put you back on the speakers list, actually. Sorry, I forgot to clarify this at the beginning. So in Robert's rules, like unless somebody asks a direct question and wants a response, it kind of goes around the table with the speakers list. So like, I know sometimes you'll hear something and you really want to jump on it and answer, but in the procedure that we use, we have to use the speakers list. So just keep your point, and we'll get to it in a bit. Amal?
So I might be out of the loop because I still don't really get what the taking the heartbeats is for. Like, you're taking people's heartbeats to make a song, or it's the song that changes people's heartbeats?
Yeah, the latter.
Okay. The latter.
What
So
you
it's
just
like
said.
it's like binaural beats, like study music, how it like changes your mental state.
That's it.
So, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Alright, thank you. Matthew.
My question was actually answered.
Okay. Salman.
Yeah. Okay. No, like firstly, we are not here to do any motion. So thank you so much, guys, like for what you are doing, because seeing a young person doing something like that, me being a young person running an NGO for peace, so this is something amazing, like really amazing. My one question is, like, since I am I'm running an NGO that is based on like making peace in Greater Canadian culture and community, how you are seeing this to be involved with different organizations or NGOs and work out with them. Like, what are your plans with doing after this? Like, once you are done with this song and heartbeat song, like, what are your plans moving forward?
I got you something. So we are part of a big foundation called BAT Foundation. They've done multiple movements before. They worked with NFL teams, they worked with NBA teams. They started a thing called Field Movement. That movement was also showcased on Super Bowl commercial as well. So this is the website of BAT. BAT stands for We Are the Hope. So it's literally companies like Lono. We started Lono just to put people, like, smile on people's faces, right? And the reason we even went towards Lono because we realized that we were actually getting broke helping people, and that's because we didn't have enough money. And now, you know, we want to do that at a bigger scale. We need to have, you know, more resources.
What's cool about what they're doing is they're basically, we had the hope they're finding companies that have something, values, at the end of the day, it's values that intertwine and connect. And then if you're a company that wants to support, like we're basically, like we're not getting paid to do this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're basically just there to.
We are not paid.
No, I understand. Yeah.
This is, as you can see, this is Broncos right there. They kind of check for the field movement. They're all a lot of artists, you know, a lot of artists and celebrities are involved, and we're actually trying to get you know, Montreal Canadians involved as well. So imagine, these are all the ideas. I wanted to bounce back again with Isaiah as well. We're trying to, you know, work out with even Second Cup. Second Cup has this thing called the pink berries that they always want to kind of give away, and they're the only person. Then we're trying to have a conversation with them, and if we can, you know, create all of the Second Cups as a loan point as well. So maybe students can go there and just grab the pink berry and spread.
And like context as well, the annual campaign was kind of like a toss-up between sustainability and climate justice and kind of like mental health. So I believe that people's like, in like making people in a better mindset, making them feel good would kind of cross over with show like that we're working on different things with mental health. It's not the only thing that we hope to do. Yeah, it's not the only thing, but it's just kind of like being, although like it's kind of like making our students more happy, more enjoyous experience, then like it's good for.
Thank you.
Student.
Sean?
Yeah, just have two questions. One is like, I'm still not entirely certain what you really bring to the student body, if that makes any sense. And the other one is, given that there's like no budget being raised, no emotional input, what exactly is being asked of council in particular with reference to the project?
Can I just address that second? Right. So what is being asked of the, it's not even, because there's no motion on the table, it's more so of an informational presentation. Similar to like last week I gave an update on working on the anti-discrimination workshop. It's things that like people claim that they want to see what we're doing and be transparent. And there's no money being asked, there's no like, there's nothing of council to do. It's just more so informative of the different things that are going on. So there's no, like this is not like me saying like, I want endowment fund, I want silk fund, I want money. No, they have resources. They're providing resources. I provide the students. We see effective way of interacting with the students and seeing how we can affect the student body.
And it's a humanitarian, like I said, humanitarian cause. We're not actually asking you know, stand for something that literally.
I guess what I would be asking is if anyone here kind of connects to either standing, because what's cool about this project for me is that we're creating points of people getting together and standing for whatever that they believe in that has to do with peace, love. So it could be mental health, it could be just overall peace. Right now we're creating those categories that people are going to be able to actually stand for, and getting people, and we want to make it like a social element, like it's people getting together, having a good time in that peace point, and documenting that. So that's pretty much it. So if anyone here connects to that, and also just informative, because that's what we're doing, and if everyone connects to that, you can like contact us and let us know how you think you can help, and that's it pretty much.
And as we were saying, how many phases we have afterwards. It's so phase 1 is the song, Can You Feel It? Phase 2, we have 20 Miss Universes that are going to be spreading around. Phase 3 is actually Jaw Legends album. Phase 4, there's many phases. It's going to go up to 5-6 years. It's the same movement, and then afterwards we're going to come back with another one. So that's all they do. They just do big movements like that.
This is something big with big people, with celebrities, not with local people involved.
But this is why we're doing that.
Great, thank you.
For the day.
There's still 5 more minutes to the point. Then you can call orders of the day. But you're on the speakers list. Peter?
Yes. Consider like my only thing with the product is what I want to ask is like how do you say this can bring to the student like in school though, because I don't say this something that student would be interested, because it feels like it's more something that's going to be go out of school more than inside school. So I just wanted to ask basically like any that's with this, like how do you guys say this can be brought in the school?
Okay, let's say this again. It has no academic effect. It's not gonna maybe make your GPA go up. I wish it would, I need it. But what it will do is for like students, like at the end of the day, we're all people. We all have emotions, we all have shitty days, we all have bad days, we all feel like a weight of the world is on our shoulders. We all have problems. Hopefully, as an optimist, this will be able to help some people who have a bad day feel good. How we're gonna do it, I do not know. That's why I just want, this is at the beginning stages. We don't have a concrete plan of this initiative, that initiative. But through collaboration, brainstorming, if anyone in this room, anyone outside this room, any Concordia student is welcome to sit on a brainstorming session and how we can effectively reach students. I plan on going to the faculty associations to see how best to reach their students of the different faculties. It's just the early stages. February 14th is months away, and hopefully we'll be able to provide peace, love, and I'll add the joy to it. That's it.
Thank you. Esther?
Yeah, I just wanted to voice that, like, we live in sort of this society where linear thought is seen as norm, and I find it, and that we're sort of progressing and sort of arriving to something. So I find it great that your end goal is happiness and that it's not in this sort of fake progression thought. And I also find it great that you're just coming to present your idea and you're not asking for funds, and you're just talking about what it is you're doing. And I find it great that it comes from actual experience and it's not just some shallow thing. I was just wondering, do you have a political vision? And if so, what does it align?
So what do you mean by political vision, like our vision in general with this?
Well, do you stand,
For any political party in particular, or is that anything?
Not a political party, because everything is political. So how is your movement, your project, how is it political?
To be honest, from my end, I'm kind of put politics over here, and I put just the betterness of people over here. Like, I'm not trying to mix it both.
They're intertwined.
They're intertwined, I agree. But in this particular project, it's not about to connect with a certain party or a certain political view. It's really just about connecting people as a whole.
Thank you.
I don't know about you.
Alright, thank you. Lauren?
I love this idea. I love the whole happiness community thing. I'm just, I guess for continuing stages of it, you want to promote this using your app. So you want our students to download your app.
You don't have to download the application. We also have a web application. You can just go online and it's open source. They can just take a look at it without even downloading the application.
Okay, but at least for me, if you're aligning, if you want to where you're aligning with the university, I don't think that using, if you want to reach out to our students, I think just having a booth or something there, I think that you would really have to work with the university to reach our students with the channels that students already know. Okay, yeah, you want to go?
Sorry, that's what they're doing by working with us, because we are that channel. So
at the end of the day, this is not just Concordia, it's the whole world, right? So we want to showcase, let's say you're not going to Concordia, you're somewhere you don't even go to school, you still want to see where the peace points are. So our application showcases all that all around the city. So whatever, maybe you're going to a point, but be your peace point is actually closer to Concordia, maybe that gentleman will come in as well. We're not trying.
Alright, thank you. Okay, so at this point we're at the end of the 20 minutes. So is there any motion to extend debate? Okay. So in that case, I'd like to thank you very much for coming to present.
Thank you for having us, by the way.
So at this point we are on the audit report, and Desiree, you are uploading the document.
So essentially, sorry. Don't look at my stuff. So scanned the audit, but sadly only 1 page out of 2 was scanned, so I just took pictures and I'll upload the drive on Facebook. It's not the most professional, I'm sorry about that, but technology is weird.
Do you need some time?
Yeah, just a few seconds, I'll upload the thing.
Oh,
and then
okay,
just
sorry.
open
Okay.
it.
I thought I was on the never mind. I apologize. What is this? I hope I couldn't sing my face.
Just for new counselors as well, the first presentations tend to take the longest for the agenda points. Then we hopefully get a little bit more efficient as the agenda goes on. Is it funny? Maybe to just jimmy the.
Yeah. Oh, I know, is it in there? I swear, I swear.
All right, folks, so the documents for the audit are in the council group, and Desiree will be doing the presentation here.
So, hello. As I said, I wanted to scan these documents. If ever someone wants to physically look at it, I have it here. But when I scanned it, I only scanned 1 piece of paper out of 2, so I didn't want to send you a half-empty audit. So I'm Desiree, and I'm the finance coordinator for the new counselors. Welcome. First, I just want to have a little intro to the CSU finances. We already went over it with the Silk Fund earlier, but this is just a little overview to remind everyone. So essentially our fiscal year begins on June 1st and ends on May 31st. So that's essentially the length of our mandates. The budget has to be approved at the first June meeting, and after that, any amount allocated to each budget line can only be changed through Finance Committee and then through Council by ratification or January budget revision. So that's going to be fun. It's coming up soon. FinCom's going to work on that, and then we'll be presenting the new budget for the end of the year. And finally, CSU follows restricted fund accounting methods. So that means, I'll open the new slide. Overall, CSU has a lot of different funds. We have all the services, HOJO, LIC, and advocacy. We have clubs and we have operational. Each of these funds has a total fee levy and starts the year with a total amount. So essentially what restricted fund means is money in clubs has to stay in clubs. So we can't start using clubs money to pay for advocacy snacks or use LIC money to buy HOJO, some t-shirts and stuff like that. The only one that doesn't fully follow that method is operational. We have a bit more flexibility to fund specific projects that can go over, but throughout the year it hasn't happened yet that we've had to essentially do that. So yeah, and this also doesn't include yet the club, soon to be 38 cents for credit. Congratulations to the final question. Before I started the audit too, I just want to say, I looked over these, I've understood them, but I am in engineering, I'm not in accounting. So if there's very, very specific questions, my good friend Isaiah right here can help me with the finance mumbo jumbo. I get the numbers, but vocabulary is a little alien at times. So audit terms and concepts.
Point of information?
Yeah.
You conducted the audit?
No, I did not. No.
Okay.
Deloitte came into our offices for 2 weeks and went through all the papers, and especially the audit is for last year, 2018, 2019. So for one, it wasn't even my fiscal year. And they work closely with the accountant and payroll coordinator and the general manager. I'm essentially there to ask specific questions, but to be honest, the fact that it's not even the year, that's what's a little interesting about the audit too. A lot of the responsibility and the communication with the auditors ends up on the full-time staff because they have the institutional memory. As the person that's there for 1 year, I don't know all the decisions that happened last year. And the way that we work too, with check requisitions and everything has to have minutes attached to check requisitions, it's pretty transparent. So if you look at a specific transaction, you can see exactly where that transaction is. But, anyway. So what is an audit? Essentially, it's an independent review of an organization's financials. It's done once a year. Deloitte is the people that we've employed to do ours. They were picked, I think, in 2017 with the RFP process. So we do that every 3 years. We pick a new person, a new company to do our auditing. And essentially, it's just to ensure transparency and visibility to all our stakeholders, all the 35,000 students we have, Concordia University, our suppliers, the government. And starting a few years ago, we actually started publishing the audit online. And I think this is only the second or third year that there's an actual presentation to council. So this is really to ensure that people understand where our money is going and to make sure that we're fully transparent, and it really safeguards against corruption, because if someone shifts through all your finances, these are professionals, they can see when something is off. Unqualified versus qualified opinion. We received an unqualified opinion, and as unintuitive that may sound, it's a very good thing. It pretty much just means that the auditors went through our statements and realized that there's no misstatements. There's no obvious significant mistakes. So we did it, well, we did. I wasn't part of that team, but they did a good job last year, being transparent and making sure that every expense is accounted for. And yeah, so good on 2018, 2019 on that front. So the breakdown. Overall, this is a brief summary of what happened. An increase in student fees of 294%, a bit more students than what was planned. Expenses were reduced. The Silk portfolio grew by 4.54%, so that was $404,396, much more than it did last year. And finally, we're waiting for some Concordia reimbursement in 2020 for $328,000, $837 for CSU daycare renovations. CSU daycare is a subsidiary, so we don't budget for them, but they are part of generally the CSU fund. So yeah, this money will be coming in 2020. In a page, I don't remember which one, but non-consolidated statements of operation. You'll see that the CSU had a profit last year, because although the general fund ended with a deficit of $272,000, Silk made, like I said earlier, did well. So $554,000. So essentially we ended with a profit. But as I say, lower, don't be too happy, because that doesn't really represent our operational, our CSU operational, because that takes into account the health and dental fund that we have. We've been accumulating money for a few years, preparing in case we want to go self-insured. There's also amortization that's taken into account in those numbers. So essentially, our loss is more of $109,624. $109,624. Yeah.
Stupid question.
No stupid questions.
Amortization.
Okay, so essentially when you buy something and then the cost is spread out through many, many years. We have a lot of those big purchases like that, like printers, things.
I have a point of information. So what is the health and dental fund for?
Health and dental fund, essentially it's a reserve we have. You can see it at page, what page? Actual page 13, so I think it's page 16 in the image folder I've given, but essentially every time the student pays into the health and dental, the CSU takes $3 off of that amount. And that $3 is put into a fund. We save that fund for unexpected expenses, but it's mostly to prepare for switching to a self-insured plan. So that would mean this will take a long time. Yeah.
What kind of expenses are you talking about?
That's the thing. It's there for that, but last year they haven't used it. We don't really use it. It's written like this in the paper, but
So it's available for any kind of expenses, theoretically?
I mean, it has to be related to health and dental at that point.
Do you want to take questions at the end, or do you want me to take it, like, do you want to answer them as you go?
I can answer them as I go.
Okay, sure, no problem.
Thanks. So, that's the thing. It says expenses, but we don't use it, essentially. It's there if ever we really, really need it to, but historically, my year hasn't used it. The 2018-2019 year hasn't used it. So at this point, it's really mostly to prepare for a self-insurance plan, which is, or a hybrid of self-insured and working still with student care. So it's taking on more of the insurance tasks on ourselves as the CSU and making it more in-house. So that long-term plan will happen when we have millions of dollars, essentially, is so that it can be more efficient. We have people working in the house to help with the plan. I don't know if that answers your question.
I have a follow-up question. I don't know if it's in the rules or how that works.
I said I can take questions, essentially, so yeah, go ahead.
So like, who has authority over that, the expenses? Like overspending, is that CSU?
Currently, we're not spending. Do you want to?
So it's like, basically, it's for the purpose, I guess, it's kind of like a rainy day, whatnot, but we don't, best practice, we don't touch it, we don't do it, like, it's like dark end days, like, we're trying to, like, if we touch that, it's a problem, and we need money right now, but the purpose and the motion is to try to do insurance in-house to save costs on the health and dental, so it's like, it's for that purpose, but worst case scenario, there's a provision that allows us to use it. Darkest timeline, like, I don't know, like, we owe so much money that it would close the CSU, but hopefully we don't get there.
And us as the CSU decides on that spending?
We'd have, to be honest, I'd have to check into that because it's never happened, and it's in the bylaws that this money goes into this fund in the hope of having a self-insured plan, but regarding how to actually actively take that money out, I'm assuming it'd have to be through council, possibly even through referendum because it's bylaws. I mean, if there's questions that I can't fully answer to their extent right now, we can pull on top. With Robert also, who's the general manager, and he has a lot of institutional knowledge. We're super qualified, but like, we're not CPAs, so. Consolidation with CSU finances. So the auditors did their work, and now we're comparing with the work we did.
Do you want to take a question?
Oh,
Okay, yeah, sure.
So yeah, essentially you'll see that to the right completely is what the amounts they came through, and to the left is what we thought we had gone. There's many reasons for these variances. One big one, which accounts for $17,000, is we were expecting some revenue last year that actually never came through. That specific revenue. Okay, it was, I remember it, it was, they had some type of agreement, no, in the year before they had some type of agreement with a sponsor or some person, some company that was giving in money, and they had expected that agreement to follow through 2018, 2019, and it didn't. That really hit operating. Regarding clubs and advocacy, for those that didn't know, we already knew that last year ended with a deficit. Clubs, which is the biggest one for many reasons. One of them is a few years ago they went through a fee levy decrease, and just this semester they went through a fee levy, last semester they went through a fee levy increase, and we just went through one again. So that fee levy increase reduced the revenue, and additionally there was more and more student activity, there were more and more clubs, so that meant that there was less money. So that's just, for one, they didn't have as much money as they had before. They kept running things as they did usually, and even there was some oversight as to how clubs was being run last year, where I've seen how clubs does it this year. There's spreadsheets, communications with clubs, there's a lot of back and forth. I can't speak for last year, but I know last year they didn't have that same system, so there was just an assumption that everyone was in good faith, and everyone was, but that ended promising more money than people.
Just
Yeah.
not so much a question of my impression. I was actually a president of a CSU club last year. So I guess if there's anything you're wondering about how it
Okay,
was
cool.
in the last year, I'd be more than happy to enlighten.
Okay. Because what I've understood is they allocated budgets, but without necessarily respecting to the total amount they had to allocate for budgets. So looking at their numbers, they had less revenue than us this year, and they allocated more than we have. So that meant for very generosity all around. But then it really didn't hit good when all the checks started coming in, and so yeah, that's for it. And advocacy, there was a filigree increase also this year to take into account, and they also have an agreement with GSA to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And yes, and if we want to go more into details about the variances, as I said, I don't want to spend too long talking about this, so we can have an appointment. There's also a space on FinCom opening up to talk about the variances, because this, again, I have the information, just not physically with me, so these are a lot of numbers, a lot of things that are, the decisions I weren't necessarily part of. So yeah, open to talk about it if people want to. And then, yeah, this is the cumulative result, essentially, so you can see how the last few years have been going. This is when, essentially, the club's fee levy decrease happened and ensured a bad year throughout. Club had a fee levy, Hojo plan. Also, Hojo had planned for CCSL funding that never came in 2017-2018. So this is my motion. Whereas an auditor's opinion on the state of the CSU's finances for the 2018-2019 fiscal year has been produced by Deloitte LLP. Whereas the auditor's report was produced in accordance with accounting standards and found that the CSU's finances are presented accurately and completely, be it resolved that the CSU Council accepts the report by Deloitte LLP on the non-consolidated financial statements of the Concordia Student Union. Be it further resolved that the audited financial statements be posted on the CSU website in the next 5 business days, and be it further resolved that the budgetary impact of this motion is nil.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Salman, I'll count the presentation as an motivation. So we have 6 minutes left to the agenda point. Mitchell?
Okay, is Robert the person in charge of preparing the financial statements?
No, Deloitte is.
No, but, well, no, we're supposed to prepare them and Deloitte just audits them.
Yeah, both Robert and Deacon, who's the accountant and payroll coordinator.
Okay, so those two people, where were their prior experiences?
Deacon is a certified accountant. He's been working with the union for the last 4 years, I think. Before that, I'm assuming he was an accountant, to be honest. Like, yeah.
I just want to know if any of them worked at Deloitte.
Oh, okay. Do you know if
No,
Robert has?
they haven't worked at Deloitte.
Okay, because Robert also has an MBA. I know he has experience with the non-profits. And a CPA, yeah.
Okay, and also for the $320,000 that the daycare we have as a receivable, are we sure to collect that?
Absolutely, yes, because they promised us essentially that they would pay for parts of the renovations, and at this point, it's playing hardball. The CSU has a few, like the execs, have a few ins in the daycare. Marin sits on the committee, or?
Marin is the president.
Marin is the president of the daycare, and also Robert also takes care of their finances, so that we are sure that Marin's going to.
And did Deloitte tell you what our materiality is?
Materiality?
Like basically, like, you know, there's a variance there.
Yeah.
Basically, like, there's a certain threshold when you conduct an audit, like what the variance, maximum variance that it could be.
Okay.
I think normally they're supposed to discuss, probably Robert.
Yeah, probably Robert, or maybe even, no, in the document they don't go into our specific funds.
No, normally.
So, I don't know.
Because that's like very, very high.
Yeah.
They should,
It's $19,000 as a variance.
well, just the proportionate amount. That
Okay.
is like there's companies that make in millions and millions of dollars, and they're very, like their small pass is like it's a few percent.
Okay.
And so like that's like it seems very high to give an unmodified opinion with that.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that's at 2 minutes. Naomi?
I'd like to call the question.
Okay, do we have a second for calling the question? Jared, is there any opposition to taking a vote? Okay. So all those in favor of the motion as stated on the board, please raise your placards. 19. All those opposed? 1. And any questions? Any questions? Any abstentions? 0. Okay, so that carries. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the presentation.
Okay.
All right. Do you have any last words?
The audit will be posted. We can talk if people want. And yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you. Okay, so at this point we are on appointments. So there's several seats open for committees. The descriptions of the committees are in the standing regulations, but I'll have each executive or chair of the committee just give a quick little summary of what their committee does and how often it meets, as that's usually the question that's asked by councillors. So we'll start off with the Finance Committee. Desiree?
Hello, Finance. Essentially, this time we didn't have a chance to go over the audit, but essentially that's pretty much what we do. In finance, we look at the budget, we review when external student groups have the mindset of coming to us first before coming to council. We review that, review the budget, go through the actuals monthly also. That's a big one. Often takes a few hours going through the lines, and I get to answer questions and then come back with answers next time we talk. Robert has sat into a few of our meetings too. So yeah, essentially it's a big responsibility, you know, because we do have to keep everyone accountable, and any asset purchase over $1,000 has to pass through FinCom, and any expense over 10K, over 10K has to pass through FinCom also. So that is responsibility again, and once a month, once or twice a month. Once a month. Once, twice, we'll see. But yeah, we meet fairly regularly. Yeah.
Do you have a day that you meet usually?
Not to be honest, we do 1 2 weeks,
Right,
and then that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so just the way it works for the appointments to committees. So committees are where the expertise of the CSU happens. So instead of having really long discussions about things like budgets and like expenses and stuff like that, that would go to the Finance Committee, where you are 5 people with the chair of the committee as well, or with the relevant executive, and you can look at the documents in depth, have time to read them over, ask questions, all that, in a smaller group. So it just makes things more efficient.
I just want to encourage the people. JMSB, we have 1 JMSB, and then we have 2 ASFA, so we can have some JMSB. Arad is usually the official finance and the finance coordinator.
That's good.
Sorry.
He's accountant.
He's accountant. Yeah, exactly. So it's a good background and right on to have. Yeah, especially as I've said. This is I like this, but this is not necessarily my field, so it's good to have someone there. Yeah.
Thank you. So the way it works is if you want to appoint yourself, you would just raise your placard and say, if you want to nominate yourself, you'd say, I nominate yourself. It requires a second. And if you want to nominate somebody else, you would just nominate them, and then they would consent, because obviously you can't nominate someone to a committee if they don't want to be on the committee. That being said, then we'll go into like 20-second motivations about why you want to sit on the committee. If there's only one person nominating themselves for 1 seat, we'll go straight to a vote, and the CSU Council took a vote at the beginning of the year that if there's more than one person vying for, or if there's more than the amount of people vying for the amount of seats, we do a secret ballot. Isaiah.
A motion, I'd like to
Nominate?
Nominate, thank you. It's been a long day. Mitchell.
Okay, do you consent to nomination? Okay, if it's Mitchell who consents. It's only if you nominate yourself. Is there anyone else who would like to nominate themselves to sit on the Finance Committee? Okay, so if not, Mitchell, why would you like to sit on the Finance Committee?
Well,
Sorry?
in the past.
I thought you said we appointed them directly if there is no contest.
Yeah. Oh, well, they get a couple seconds to speak.
Well, as I stated previously, I'm an accounting student. I also interned at one of the other Big Four accounting firms this past summer at Ernst & Young, and I'm starting to work there next year full time. I'm also done most of my accounting courses, so I just feel like I have a pretty in-depth knowledge of how financial statements work. And I also like to just see everything work efficiently, and that's about it.
All right, thank you. Is there any questions? Yes, James? Okay, do we have a second? Salman, is there any opposition to appointing Mitchell to the Finance Committee? All right, so that is unanimous. Congratulations, you're on the Finance Committee. Yeah, we don't have to, we can just do the jazz hands. Okay, so at this point we're on Sustainability Committee, and Melise, I believe you are chairing this one?
Yes. Hello. I'm chairing Sustainability Committee until, Sustainability Committee is the committee that approves the scholarship applications. We approve sustainability-based projects on campus. We also look at ethics and purchasing policies and other things related to sustainability. We meet when I'm not busy. So maybe this Friday, maybe not. We'll figure it out. And we meet probably starting next semester, I would hope once a month.
Thank you.
And we have 2 seats empty.
Oh, sorry, did I put one?
Oh, I think you put 2.
Oh, it does, okay, perfect. Okay, so there are 2 seats open on the Sustainability Committee. If there's anyone who'd like to nominate themselves, yes, Hirsch.
I would like to nominate myself.
Okay, do we have a second? Jeremiah, so we have Hirsch. Sean?
I was doing a motion to nominate myself as well.
Okay, do we have a second? Sorry, Matthew? So we have Hirsch and Jeremiah. Is there anyone else who'd like to nominate themselves, Matthew? Okay, do we have a second? Selena? Is there anyone else who would like to nominate Selena?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate myself.
Okay, do we have a second? Esther. Okay. Is there any other nominations? Okay, so at this point we have 4 nominations for 2 seats, so I'll go around the room and you can speak to why you'd like to sit on the Sustainability Committee. So we'll go this way, starting with Hirsch.
Oh, there's 2 points to... My general view of sustainability is that if you want it to be sustainable means it can last long term. There's a general negative view of within certain circles that it's a what you can't do movement, which I think is not correct. And it's important to put forward this idea of that it's how to do things better. Additionally, there's a trend towards using a massive amount of buzzwords. And the ability to act as an engineering student, particularly in mechanical engineering, we do go through a lot of material science and different energy considerations within thermodynamics and whatnot. And so the ability to actually ask and press and say, okay, you've used this buzzword, here's a particular detail about it, what can you tell me, how does this and this affect it? And to actually just make sure that you're not just receiving buzzwords, there's actual content to what's in it is something I feel strongly about.
Thank you.
Point of information?
Yes.
If they're a candidate, can they vote or no?
Yeah, anyone can. It's convention to abstain for yourself, but you can vote for yourself if you'd like.
Because in this case, there's 2 positions, so even if you don't vote for yourself, then you're forfeiting your vote for someone else for that second.
You could do, you can vote for 2 people. You could do 1 and abstain. You could abstain for both. So
Okay, so I still hand them a piece of paper.
Point of information. What if someone writes their name twice?
Then I just don't count one of them.
Shouldn't it be? But how would you know?
Well, I'm saying in case.
Oh, you're handing out 2 papers.
Well, no, 2 papers, just in case this comes up for the other committees. I'm thinking ahead. It's not for the same vote.
Why don't we just write on 1 paper so that it's not confusing?
Well, no,
it's going to be one paper per person.
1 paper per person. No, one
paper per
vote.
Sorry.
This is because there's other committees.
One paper per committee.
There we go. Okay, so do not vote on more than 1 paper per vote. Yes, Hirsch?
How do we,
Sorry?
I wasn't clear on the whole you can't vote for yourself?
Yeah,
You can vote for yourself.
Sometimes people choose to abstain if it's their own vote. You're allowed to, though. There's nothing that prevents you from voting for yourself. Yeah,
as to do the secret ballot, I'm just curious how that's supposed to work.
It doesn't, it doesn't matter if it's a secret ballot. There's no, I don't know who voted for who. Nobody knows who voted for who. So
unless you memorize the secret.
Alright, so then we are allowed to.
Yes, you are. Yeah. Right. Okay, Jeremiah, why would you like to sit on the Sustainability Committee?
I like to be on the Sustainability Committee because so far, the vibe, the atmosphere of sustainability is more towards environmental. And I want to make it clear for the committee itself, for the Concordia Student Union, for just the people in general at Concordia, that I want to make it more just what it's supposed to be, or at least what I believe it's supposed to be, which is triple bottom line: financial, social, and environmental. And I just want to incorporate that more and make it more obvious, and we can just incorporate that more.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Very similar. I think the triple bottom line is the #1 focus, and because we've become so honed in on this one focus of environmental sustainability that I think forgot the other aspects of sustainability that have come into play. And when I was running for the counselor position, I noticed that the people that I spoke to really felt frustrated with this, and that's one of the motivations as to why I ran for council, is to really bring a comprehensive view of what sustainability means and to give a real good effort on maintaining those 3 very crucial pillars.
Thank you. And lastly, Selena.
So basically, sustainability has been my passion for such a long time, and I've been trying since last year to get very included in this, because I don't only believe in, not like the opposing candidate said, that I should concentrate on one or another. It's the integration of all 3 together, and that's what I stand for on my view on sustainability. And and because I studied sustainability specifically in Concordia and what problems that it faces, I'd love to be in the committee that funds the projects and helps make our university more sustainable.
Thank you very much. Yes, Isaiah?
I think you forgot Sean. He nominated
Oh, my
us.
mistake. Sorry, Sean. There you are. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I mean, a lot of things about sustainability. So first of all, of course, obviously the climate crisis is one of the crises of our generation to solve, and also just trying to encourage policies that really are not only lasting, but are just ones that are also feasible, I think are really important. I've been involved a lot with clubs in Concordia, so I've seen, I guess you could say, a lot of good things, but I've also seen a lot of decisions, spending that was done that was kind of really wasteful at times. And I believe that being a part of this committee, I can help, encourage policies that are both better for the bottom line, better for long-term operations, and also will reduce our impact on the environment as well.
Great, thank you. So at this point, we can move to a vote in 1 second. No, I know there's a couple questions. Sorry, I was just writing the names on the board in case anyone got lost. Yes,
Point of
Hershey.
information, can I still nominate myself?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. You'd like to
Okay.
nominate yourself? Okay, do we have a second? Still none. And, okay, would anyone else like to nominate themselves? Okay, so in that case, you can vote for yourself.
Okay, so as a student, I try to be sustainable, and I go to garbage cans, and there's 10 different colors and different shapes and different pictures, and I feel like it could be very simplified. And also I want to bring a campaign about something that everyone can unify around, Tim Hortons cups, coffee cups. So if we get people to recycle one thing, that's a snowball effect on other things. So I feel like I would really like to work on those things. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So your candidates, well, first of all, is there any other discussion to be had before we move to a vote? Millie's?
And everyone that's running, just want to make sure you guys are amenable to having a meeting on Friday, because we do want to get that done. Yeah, no, not at Loyola, I'm sorry. Yeah, so just keep that in mind that you might have to do a meeting on Friday.
Yes, Mitchell?
What time are your meetings on Friday?
What time would you
No,
like?
because there's some people that might not be able to attend for religious purposes.
Just send a win to meet.
I will do a win to meet as soon as you guys are nominated. Or, that.
Or you people are nominated.
Okay, so we have the 6 candidates on the board, so your options are either one person, one abstain, 2 abstains. So.
Or abstain person.
Or, no, not that. Okay, so does everyone understand how to vote?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, so
To be clear, one person on each paper, 2
Yes.
people on the paper.
This one paper. There we go. All right, is everyone good for voting? Perfect. And Isaiah will go around and collect them, and then Shivani and I will count them. pencil. Yeah, we're probably gonna need some. Ready. Oh, that's fine. Just to like.
You want an actual?
No, it's just so like we're probably gonna have to do like a tally. On some.
6, 7, 8, 9,
Yeah.
10.
Oh, sorry.
11. Wow. She's 13.
I think you missed it here.
They just weren't already. It was 18, 19, 20. Somebody didn't vote.
Did everyone hand in their papers?
We have one more left.
Oh. Okay. As long as we don't.
Sorry, man.
20 wins. Jesus, take me out.
All right.
Tea time.
Tea time.
By the time we get out the room, hopefully it will stop raining. What you would think it was if I was covered in rain getting that pizza. And the tunnel smells like diesel. No, it doesn't. Like this is the like, no, normally it doesn't smell like
I know.
But okay, to be fair, the tunnels have lasted a long time. But the other day the metro was leaking. The other day. But like Concordia is over 100.
He's the best person I know.
Water. And with global warming and sea levels rising, the water is coming in. But at least, but you guys understand, I take a musky tunnel over a mudslide at McGill today. Because if they flood, then that's
Good on your cables, big cables.
no, but what about the bottom? The way the water goes down the hill, and then you're in the ice sheet. Ooh, leave. Oh, okay. I know, I was just like, it would have been, it's okay.
There's one right now. There's so many different ways. I felt so much.
So it's like areas like more but our statements are comprehensive.
Alright folks, so following the results of the secret ballot, those elected to the, not appointments, to the Sustainability Committee are Selena and Hershey. So congratulations.
It's her, see?
Selena. All right, and if there's nothing further on sustainability, we can move to the Appointments Committee. So on this committee, there is one executive seat and one counselor seat open, because the Appointments Committee doesn't automatically have an executive that comes with it.
I guess I could speak on.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so up until today, I was the chair of the Appointments Committee. I decided to resign. So there will be two positions open. One's executive. So one of the executives will be running for it. And then there's a counselor position open. So if you're a counselor, you could run for that. What does the Appointments Committee do? It appoints all the empty positions in the student union. For example, on every committee, there's supposed to be a member at large. There's supposed to be a finance member at large, sustainability member at large. Your job is to interview candidates and to select them. And then in the past, Appointments Committee has also been tasked with doing things such as the Chief Electoral Officer, with Senate. It really depends on the council. The council could give it additional duties that are not within the standing regulations. So basically, if you want to learn how to do interviews, be professional, this is the committee for you.
Okay, thank you. So if you would like to nominate yourself or someone else, please raise your placard. Yes, Matthew.
Maybe
For
we should
yourself?
start with the executive, just to get that over.
Okay. Does everyone mind if is everyone okay if we
Yeah.
start with the executive? Okay. I think there's somebody who's already, Eduardo, was it? Yes.
Second, actually.
I'll second it.
Okay, so seconded by Chris.
It just takes one person.
Do you want to speak to why you want to be on the appointments committee?
Well, once I found out that Chris would be resigning from appointments committee, that's really close to the camera. Once I found out that Chris would be resigning from appointments committee, we basically spoke a bit about all the executives and who would be able to take up the extra work associated with it. And since I have the most free time out of all the executives, I think I would probably be the best fit since I could match with most people when we're making our schedule. And that's really it.
Thank you. Okay, so you just need a motion to appoint Isaiah, your second, James.
Oh wait, hold on.
Yes. Yeah. Do you want to add something, Jeremiah?
I thought we were all gonna go for executive.
Oh, no, just executive is, so it's just members of the executive for this seat, and then we'll go through the councillor members after. So like you're a councillor.
I thought like you were gonna appoint one of us to be executive as well.
No,
I misunderstood.
Sorry, I didn't explain that super clearly. All good.
Council is confusing.
Yeah. Council is very confusing and disorienting, so just keep asking questions, folks. Okay, so if is there any opposition to Eduardo being the executive member of the appointments committee?
Take it away.
Okay, so that carries unanimously, and we can move on to councillor. And Matthew, you would nominate yourself?
Yes.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Come on. So Matthew, is there anyone else who wants to nominate Esther?
I wanted to nominate myself.
Yourself? Is there a second? Salman?
No.
Christian? Okay, so do we have a second? Elizabeth, so Christian, and then Jeremiah?
Nominate myself.
Okay, do we have a second? Amma?
I want to nominate Hershey.
Okay, Hershey, do you consent to the nomination? Where'd you go?
Yes.
Remember, consent.
Alright, yes, Jeremiah?
I want to nominate Howard Iceland.
Okay, do you know if they consent?
Okay, I just did that for fun, really.
Oh, okay, yeah, so you can't nominate someone who's not here if you don't have their consent to do it. Okay, is there anyone else? Yes, Peter?
I would like to nominate myself.
Okay, do we have a second? Chris?
Well,
yes?
as far as the Howard Isley was brought up, I can just message him if you want and ask if he consents.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. We can do that. So we can move to or you can ask him if there's a specific committee of the ones remaining as well that he'd like to sit on. There's still Student Life, Loyola, Concordia, oh my god, I wrote Concordia on Student Life. Concordia Council on Student Life, and the Community Action Fund. I'm so sorry. Okay, we can move into motivations, and then once you get an answer, you can let me know. So is there anyone else before we move to motivations? Okay, so if not, Matthew, why would you like to sit on the appointments committee?
Throughout my involvement in municipal, provincial, and federal politics, as well as my interview experience in virtually every English accounting firm in this province, I have just seen what it takes to really work hard to get to a position that you want. And I would love to just be on the other side of the table and really analyze a person to see their motivations and see their experience and see what they can bring to the table to benefit students in their community. And I really feel like having gone through that experience, it would give me the insight and the ability to carry this position well on the committee.
Thank you. Esther, why would you like to sit on the appointments committee?
Can I go last?
Yeah, absolutely. Christian.
So I sit on the internal committee for ASPA, and we've done quite a
few appointments, so I think that experience I've had is very valuable. I'm also the VP internal for the Sociology and Anthropology Student Union, and I've helped with appointing executives, looking at CVs, doing small interviews as well, and I think that experience is valuable as well. I think I have a pretty decent judgment of people, and
Great, thank you. Jeremiah.
I feel that this is the kind of job where, you know, this when you choose which people to go in, it's going to be a big decision. I'm capable of making big decisions, and I've proven that in the past. At the same time, I do want to find a similar line to Matthew, and I do want to, like, just have a similar line, which is like, you know, I want to have the experience to be on the other side of the table, and yeah, and do interviews like that.
Thank you. Hershey.
So I was nominated by thank you. But I really think, like in general, I'm like a hardworking guy. I work really hard 2 campaigns. Like whatever task I have, I'd give it like my 100%. And if nominated, the one thing I will do, I will make sure that these positions are filled and there aren't long-term vacancies on them. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Peter, why would you like to sit on the appointments committee?
So yeah, so I have been, as some of you guys know, I've been conference 2 years ago. So I've been reviewing a lot of CVs and stuff. And I also was involved with lots of appointments with either executives or other members. So yeah, I think I have gained enough like experience to be on this. So yeah.
Thank you. Esther.
Okay, so I'm already on a few committees, and I want to know the feel of the room if you guys are uncomfortable that for me to be on this committee, because I really want to know everyone's opinions.
I'm tempted to say if they're not comfortable, they'll just express it by voting, because it would be kind of a weird thing to do.
Okay, it's just because I don't want the votes to be shared, and because I don't want to take too much space, because there's also all these new counselors.
How many committees are you on?
I'm on 6 committees.
Right, thank you. Isaiah?
6 committees?
Yes.
Okay, really? So did I just rescind?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Okay.
just to kind of
Folks, Isaiah has the floor.
It's okay. Well, it's because the 2 committees that I really wanted to be on, so I wasn't here this summer, so I wasn't able to be on the committees that I wanted to be on initially, and initially I wanted to be on policy, senate, and appointments. But so this is why I really wanted to go for appointments, even though I'm now on too many committees.
So, but you want to rescind, right?
I'll rescind.
Okay. Isaiah?
Well, I guess a direct response and kind of to echo one, if you, like, in theory, if you want to resign from other committees or whichever that you're on to accomplish your goal, because you're on, is there a policy seat open?
No, there is not.
Okay, so, well, if, I don't know if you want to swap or whatever, that's your right at the end of the day. I just wanted to echo that, like, although I'll say the senior counselors, for no hierarchy, you guys have your places in your committee, but try to just make room for at least everyone who wants to be on at least one committee, so that like everyone has a chance to affect students.
Yeah, thank you. This is fair. Jared?
Oh, I was literally going to say that.
Oh, all right. Thank you. Someone else had their hand. Yeah, Salman.
Yeah, I would like to motivate for Hershey because I'm, as a person, as a counselor sitting in the appointments committee, and I met him like when the elections were going on, and I've like talked to him, spoke to him about what he likes and like what are his plans, and I think being him on the appointments committee will do a very good job because we have a lot of seats to fill in, and we need commitment at this time, not like more than anything. We need time from the counselors to be present in the appointments committee and fill out all the empty seats. So like I would really like to motivate for Hershey. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Selena?
Slide placard?
Oh, sorry, did you? Oh, I might have seen another placard, sorry. Did you raise your placard, or maybe you were just?
No, I was just reading the
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Naomi?
I'm also on appointments committee, and I want to echo what my colleague Sayed said. We do really want all the positions to be filled. Whoever's on this committee, I'll be glad to work with. However, I would like to motivate for Christiane. I've been working with her in Sioux, and she is the person that I know who will get things done, who will literally always show up to meetings, and we really need people like that. I'm sure that everyone here would do a great job. I just know that Christiane would already be a great fit. And I've seen her do interviews before, I've seen her choose candidates, and she's always done an excellent job. So I just wanted to motivate for her.
Thank you. Sama?
It's not going against any my fellow councillors, but I would really appreciate if the room goes to the upcoming new councillors who have joined the council just now, and to motivate them to fill up the seats rather than other old councillors. Just saying.
Thank you. Okay, so there's no. Oh, yeah, Esther.
Yeah, there's this sort of between two candidates, but let's just remember that there are also other candidates.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so if there's nothing further, your candidates are on the board. So they are Christiane, Hershey, Jeremiah, Matthew, and Peter. So it's one councillor seat this time, so you either get one vote or one abstain. So Isaiah will go around the room again, and then we will count the votes. Thank you, Isaiah.
No,
it's only one seat, right?
Yes, one.
One seat, one name. So just raise them on.
Community action.
Pardon?
You don't have nothing to do with CAP, do you? No. I just copy and pasted, sorry. Copy and pasted the one over it. That didn't sound right.
I don't like it. Let's just survive the next month. Exactly.
I can't control myself. Oh yeah. 9.
We're not
Sorry,
played yourself.
messed up my
That's
system.
old enough.
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Played yourself.
You don't trust my evening yet?
Not at all.
Hopefully you'll trust the Eagles.
I did.
Just hope for no strong gust of wind.
Yeah, but it's too.
Yep, because people don't trust my hand. You have another big paper?
Oh, yeah, you weren't there. Okay, yeah.
That's for the
But
next one.
Julian's really messed up. Yeah, he's super.
Look at them. Go ahead and set it. Sitting on the ground.
I love his accent because he's like, it's like, you know, he has a really good head.
I was translating to it.
Oh, you didn't know? I've known Julian since I was like 17. He literally did
Well, because you're slipping in the cracks, right?
He did not do it. Yes, he did. He did like he did. Not confident. I know his just no, I think he's great.
You're lying. I literally told my boyfriend.
No, he worked in the city for election. He knows everything about it.
He said, we were having a conversation. We wanted
This is like the most important thing on
So following the results of the secret ballot, Hershey, you are on the appointments committee. Congratulations.
Who?
Hershey.
Oh wow, look at that. Hershey doesn't even nominate himself.
All right. So if there's nothing further on appointments, we can move to Community Action Fund. And sorry, that should have said Isaiah, not Melise, is dealing with this one. Sorry.
So, Community Action Fund is it's a funding body, as the name implies, which have seats given to different members of the community. That sounds really redundant, but there's 6 seats, including the CSU seat, which I hold. The one that we're in discussion now is a councillor seat. So we give out funding based to the community, the Concordia community, whether it be inside the Concordia community or around the Concordia community, in terms there's a $50,000 fund which has a rollover of up to $25,000, so a grand total of $75,000. So we review applications rolling with one member representing the Center for Gender Advocacy, one representing CURE, one QPIRG, one for BIPOC, one for the CSU, and the one in question is for council. So the person here will get to see a variety of different applications and be able to give back to the community through funding.
Great, thank you. So if you would like to sit on the Community Action Fund, please nominate yourself now. Yes, Emma.
I want to nominate Selena.
Selena, do you consent to the nomination?
Yes.
Naomi?
I like to nominate myself.
Okay, do we have a second? Christiane. Is there anyone else? Yes, Jeremiah?
Nominate myself.
Okay, do we have a second? Elizabeth? Is there anyone else? Yes, Hershey?
I'd like to actually motivate.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Okay, so if there's no further nominations, we can move to, we'll start with the self-motivations, then if you want to say a quick word about a colleague, then go right ahead. Selena, why would you like to sit on CAF?
Well, basically, as a person who, this is for the Library Service Fund.
No,
it's for the Community Action Fund.
Okay, can I take it back?
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, does anyone sit on committee? Naomi, why would you like to sit on CAF?
I'd like to sit on CAF because it's a relatively new fund.
Folks, Naomi has the floor. Excuse me, in the back.
It's a relatively new fund. There's not a lot of policies around it. I'd like to be able to change those policies so that more organizations get a say in allocating these funds. I'm also part of various grassroots movements, and I've also done funding applications before, so I think I would be a good candidate in analyzing these funding requests. And so basically I'd like to do that and work on the current policies surrounding this new body of funding.
Thank you. Jeremiah?
I think I'm going to retract my application.
All right. Okay, so at this point there is one councillor for one seat. That makes things easy. James, then I'll get you up.
Can I nominate Christiane?
Oh, okay. Okay, you'll go in a second, James. Do you consent to the nomination?
I'll be honest, I'm not familiar with this fund, so I'm gonna
Point of privilege?
Yes.
We usually nominate other people when they're aware of it and they kind of want it. I know it's fun to just nominate people, but I just feel like it's a bit awkward that we've just been nominating this person and this person for weird reasons. But it's no shade. I'm just saying that usually we talk to the person.
Yeah. So yes, Selma.
Just an announcement, since we have a new counselors, it's a good thing to share the knowledge between the new counselors and the past counselors. So it's a learning experience for all of us, and especially for the new counselors. So it's a good thing that we are learning as we are going on now. So,
Not a point of information, but I'll just move on with the
Yeah.
speakers list.
Mm,
James?
like,
Yeah, so I have James,
announcement.
Hershey, Melise, and then Emma. James?
Just a point of question, who's currently running?
Just Naomi.
Okay.
Okay.
Iverson.
Okay, Hershey?
Well, I feel like since like we have like a lot of new counselors, like I like to motivate at least one of you guys to run for this position. Like first of all, thank you everyone for voting for me. I appreciate the confidence. That's very nice. And but yeah, I really like to like motivate another person from the new council to like have like a more diverse representation on committees.
Thank you. Melise?
Because other people didn't run, my motivation no longer stands.
Okay, thank you. Emma?
Call the question.
Okay. Before, was there anyone else? There's actually no motion on the table technically. Did anyone else want to appoint themselves or nominate themselves before we call the question? Matthew?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a second, Mitchell? Okay. So there's two counselors for one seat. Marin.
I'm not sure if the new counselors know, but Isaiah briefly explained it. But it's basically a $75,000 fund where the committee gives money to projects doing community work around the community based on the positions book. So it's basically a funding body with one of our bodies that has the most money to give out money. So it's a very good one because I sit on another funding body and it's a good experience to review applications and to be able to give out really huge amounts. You can do that at council, but in these smaller spaces it's a little bit more intimate and you're really able to review and make sure that the projects are worthwhile.
Okay, thank you. Jeremiah?
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to everybody because so with Hershey, he commented that he wanted, let's say, a new person to step up and nominate themselves, and I understand that, but like the reason why, let's say, I took back my application was because, first I sort of like thought the CF was one thing, like I misheard something, and then second, once Marin had, after hearing Naomi's like motivation speech, and after hearing Marin clarify it even more, I felt I wasn't personally ready yet. And I felt that Naomi had a good selling point. So that's why I retracted my nomination.
Thank you.
I think the bigger issue in the room is not necessarily which fund people want or getting you involved, is that because we want the council to represent the student body, is like, as much as we know everyone around the table, we have our strong points, we have our weak points, we may be qualified, but we need at least, ideally, each counselor should at least sit on one committee. So at the end, we have 4 more, that's why everyone has 4 pieces of paper, 4 more committees to vote for. So if you don't sit on a committee now, you're not representing the students who put you there in any facet in these places where they interact with more than council. For this particular one, it's like whoever ran or whatnot, but keep in mind going forward, like with the different applications for whether it be student life, I think whatever ones that you should ideally motivate to sit on one. And if you're not sitting on one, then something's up.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we're gonna do motivations in just a second. Do you have one last thing you
I just wanted to add a final point that if you don't want to sit on a committee, it's 100% okay. Like, I know that we all want new counselors on it, and I do too. It's just, if you don't want to sit on it, then it's fine. You shouldn't feel pressure to be on a committee. You're already in council, and you're doing a great job in council already by attending these monthly or like bi-monthly meetings. So if you don't feel comfortable being on a committee, that's totally fine, and nobody should feel pressured to sit on one. I just wanted to add that as a final thing.
Thank you. So let's move to motivation, just motivations for the 2 candidates, and then we'll move on to discussion again if there's anything. So Naomi, why would you like to sit on CAF? Oh, did you? Oh, sorry, you already did a motivation. Sorry, Matthew.
So like I said before, for the other the mini speeches I gave, I've actually had to manage a budget that is around this range, and I've had to allocate the budget in a very stringent and very concentrated manner. And I also think being an accountant and a staff accountant and having the background of how to review financials in a very in-depth perspective, I think I would serve the community very well to be able to make sure that the money is allocated in the most appropriate and efficient way possible.
Thank you. Okay, Jeremiah?
Before or after the vote, may I be excused?
Yes, absolutely. We can deal with it after the vote, though.
Yeah, okay, I'll wait.
Perfect. Okay, so everyone has their little papers? Okay, so I have the 2 names on the board, and it's 1 counselor of the 2. So following the votes from the secret ballot, Matthew, you've been appointed to the Community Action Fund. Congratulations.
Sorry, who?
Matthew. Right there. Alright. Oh, yeah, there's a recycling.
Yeah, I know. I'll take it out. Okay.
We'll take it out. Okay, so at this point, if there's nothing further on CAF, right, Jeremiah, you had a motion to excusal?
Just temporary 5 minutes.
It's only after 60 minutes that you need an excusal. So like if you have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, just to the bathroom, of course.
You don't need an excusal, don't worry.
Yeah, I'm just gonna wait for the vote to be revealed.
Oh, it was Matthew.
It's Matthew?
Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry. I should have explained this better at the beginning for new counselors. It's only after 60 minutes, or sorry, it's 90 minutes in the standing regs that you require an excusal. Yes, Jared?
On that note, it's like what, 30? Can I
Yes.
motion to like a 5-minute recess?
Yeah, absolutely. Is everyone okay with a 5-minute recess?
Yeah.
Or do people want to finish appointments first? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do that this year.
Could we finish if I can't?
Sorry, okay, so all those in favor of finishing appointments before recess, please raise your placards. Okay. Anyways, it was fairly unanimous. Okay, we'll blast through it. Yes, James?
I would like the motion to prioritize future nominations for new councillors and only allow like senior councillors to nominate themselves if it's not filled, if the spaces aren't filled.
Okay, do we have a second?
I have a point of information.
Yes.
I didn't understand what he was saying.
So motion to restrict nominations to,
Council could decide to restrict nominations to whomever they want. So is there a second for the motion? Okay, so the motion's not seconded. Oh, sorry, Hirsch? Okay. So there's a motion on the table to restrict nominations to new councillors. Jared?
Well, I just only think that we should prioritize new councillors. I'm not sure if we should 100% restrict it to like only new councillors, especially being that and seats are available. Maybe there was like a committee that you really wanted to be on before, and then by you being on that committee, you could drop another one that would then be available for a new councillor. When voting, though, I definitely do think we should take into consideration who's new, who's sitting on 0 committees versus who's on 2, 3, or 4. That should definitely be an element, but I don't think it should completely restrict someone's ability to even nominate themselves.
Alright, thank you. Sorry, James, I didn't give you a chance to motivate. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I feel like everyone's already got their opinions and arguing about it isn't really going to change anyone's mind, but your motivation, James?
Right, so I mean, the second part of my motion was to the senior council should be allowed if there's not enough people on that doesn't get in. I think that we should probably let the new councillors be on committee since there's a lot of openings. A lot of us that are senior, I guess, the best word I can figure out, a lot of us already sit on 3 or 4 committees, so I think allowing, newbies to take the MPC would be a good idea.
Okay, thank you. Desiree?
I just wanted to speak in favor of what Gerard said. Essentially, I think all the councillors that were elected anyway were new councillors, so I feel the motion in the room is what James' motion is trying to portray. So for the sake of democracy, maybe let everyone who wants to run, and then councillors already are making choices.
Thank you. Hirsch?
Well, I would like to propose an amendment to James's motion that'll make it somewhat more convoluted. So instead of defining it as senior or whatever, not new councillors can only run if there's a deficit in the number of people running, I would say that they would be allowed to run as long as there's not a surplus Meaning, if you have one position open and you have 2 new counselors going for it, then there would be a block on older counselors, or senior, whatever the term is. But if there's only one new counselor going for 1 seat, and the person's running unopposed, then older counselors should be allowed to add their claims to this on the basis that, that you want some form of competition, although you don't want, you want democracy, but you also don't want to have a situation where you have some people with a lot of committees and some people who don't sit on any.
All right, so the current proposed amendment is to allow, I guess, non-new counselors in the case that, how to phrase it? In the case that there's no opposition. Is there a second for the amendment?
I have a point of information.
Yes.
Is that to the exclusion of current counselors?
Current?
Like senior
Everyone's.
counselors who were here before. So I don't completely understand the motion. My understanding is
I don't either. Could you clarify it?
Okay, so let's say we have 1 seat available, and 1 new counselor is running for it. Now there are also senior counselors that would also run for it, but the way the motion was defined by James, they would be blocked. And this one person would be unopposed. I'd say that the alter James motion such that it only applies if there is a surplus of the number of people who are running as opposed to how many seats. Meaning if 2 new counselors apply, then say give it to one of them, but if only 1, then senior counselors would be allowed to nominate themselves.
Okay, so in the case that there's, to allow non-new counselors to run in the case only if it's unopposed, or only if there's, only if it's unopposed between new counselors. Is there a second for the amendment?
I believe that was already
Not the way that you had worded. Okay, so there's no second for the amendment. So we'll just move on back to the previous speakers list. Hershey?
I'd like to motivate on the other motions from James. I believe we're all a group, and we should be a democratic group, and everyone should have an equal chance of getting appointed to a committee, whether a person who got voted now or a few months ago. We should all be treated equally.
Thank you. Emma?
Can we go to the next appointments?
Well, the thing is that there's a motion on the table right now, so we have to deal with it. Yeah. Oh, do you want to call the question? Oh, okay. So is there a second to calling the question? Okay. Is there any opposition to calling the question? Okay. So all those in favor? Sorry.
No.
Okay. Well, if one person. Okay. Do you want to do a secret ballot? Is that your? Okay, so in that case we need, okay folks, just to remind you all, the room voted for this is how we do secret ballot, so this.
Seriously, it takes one to room.
Yes, okay, so James, the motion that you had read out, could you read it out again, please?
To restrict nominations for new counselors and only allow senior counselors if it's unopposed.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, yes, did you have a quick question?
Can I move that the motion be postponed indefinitely?
Thank you.
Yes, you can. Okay, sorry, seconded by Mitchell. Okay, so all those in favor of postponing the motion indefinitely, please raise your placards. It's basically killing the motion. Okay, all those opposed? 1, and any abstentions? Okay, so yes, Isaiah?
Listen, it doesn't I made a recommendation before the previous one to just be considerate. You don't have to throw Robert's rules, throw Robert's rule to try to make a motion to restrict people. Let people, if people believe that they belong on the committee, let them be on the committee, but they know in mind that other people who don't have committees are trying to. We don't need to throw Robert's rules. Let's go.
Okay, so we made a motion to take a recess after the next 3 appointments. So student life, Eduardo, where'd you go? Oh, there you are.
So student life committee is the best thing so far. We're actually debating because the CSU is being decontaminated from asbestos this week, starting at 3 p.m. on Friday, and our meetings normally occur on Fridays. Our meeting this Friday will be at 3 Amigos. So, 1 3 Amigos this Friday. What the committee does. So what the committee actually does is
folks, Eduardo has the floor.
is we give out money to student groups who ask for funding. So we get their applications, we review it, we see if it's a real application or if it's more of something that doesn't really fall in line. And it's really, one of the great things about the committee is it's open to being subjective. So different committee members can say what they prefer more, and we can tailor what this year is going to do in terms of funding compared to previous years.
All right, thank you. That being said, I will open the floor to nominations. Emma.
I want to nominate Peter.
Peter, do you consent? Okay. Do we have any other nominations? Yes, Sean?
I want to ask, when exactly do you meet on Fridays? And 2, do you guys have anything to do with CSU clubs?
We have nothing to do with CSU clubs. CSU clubs are the only group that is not allowed to has funding from CSU special projects funding. And normally we meet on Friday, but now with the addition of a new counselor, we might change that up depending if they cannot meet on Fridays. Generally, the last 3 meetings have occurred between 2:30 and 5 p.m. on Fridays. Sorry.
Thank you. Esther?
Yeah, I want to nominate Lauren.
Okay, do you consent to the nomination?
Yes, I consent. But I have one question. Like, what is the workload of this?
So generally, we're going to meet, I would say, 2 times a month. So every 2 weeks we get together approximately for 1 hour to, let's stretch it and say 2 hours, and just judge all the projects in one shot. Generally we get about 6 to 10 projects per week.
Okay. Thank you. Do you still consent to the nomination?
I still
Okay.
consent.
Sean?
I want to nominate myself.
Okay. Do we have a second? Lee? Is there any other nominations? Okay, so we'll go to motivations. Peter, why would you like to sit on the Student Life Committee?
So I just want to say that because, like, again, I was on Concordia before and I actually stayed on Student Life before. So I basically know what's required for this committee, how this committee works. So yeah, you guys can learn anything.
Thank you. Lauren?
I've never done anything like this, so I'm not going to lie about experience, but it's just something that I really want to learn about, and I'm really dedicated to trying to get involved with student life here, and I think that would be a great way to like really make a good impact on student life.
Thank you. And Sean, and then Jeremiah.
I've been not student life directly. I've been involved with a lot of facets of student life figured out my years of study here. And I've seen a lot of the good, the positive impacts that is made on the student body, and I want to try and help this along, and I feel that I can do a lot of good on this team.
Thank you. Jeremiah?
Is it okay if I apply right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you want to nominate yourself?
Yeah, I'm going to nominate myself.
Okay. Do we have a second? Elizabeth, and I'll go right to your motivation.
Okay, yeah. My motivation is that, like the two prior to me, I don't have much experience with student life committees, but at the same time, I did apply for the CCSL, and it's still my application for that is still pending. But I feel like applying to this, I'm going to be able to get a bit of experience on the side with the CCSL anyway, and vice versa. So I feel it could work well, synchronized together, if I by chance I get in the other one as well.
All right, thank you. Okay, so if there's nothing further on student life, we can move to a vote. So at this point, there is one seat open, and the councillors' names are on the board. So it's Peter, Lauren, Sean, and Jeremiah.
Seats are open.
I didn't know. Yes, it could be 2 years into it.
Some people just.
Is good?
Yep.
Thank you so much.
I'm not getting paid for this.
We have this thing that's on like those financial statements in different companies. That's where we consolidate. That's basically, you know, like CSU and RPO. Then the search is just like another way to we just actually go from here.
With or without the court?
With the cord, it's just scary.
With the cord.
Oh, okay, you're taking it too far, dog. I'm talking the ankle, like I mean, that's the bungee jump. Homegirl's not trying. She figured it out. But now she said, no, let's take it to the next level, around your neck. So then when you die, you come back up. You get closer to heaven.
It's just oscillating.
Yeah, it's you.
Alright folks, so following the results of the secret ballot, Lauren is appointed to the, what are we voting on? Student Life Committee. Congratulations. Okay, so with that, we can move on to, what's next? The Loyola Committee. Millies.
I mean, either people really like sustainability or there's been rumors going around that I'm nice. Both of them are wrong. I'm kidding. So you can join Loyola Committee, where we work on the most underrepresented campus in all of Concordia. And yeah, you can tell me what to do and I can think about doing it. Just kidding. We also have really good food because I just want friends, guys. We got Java U, so come through. I don't know, man.
Alright, thank you. Okay, so at this point I will take nominations. Yes, Anna.
I want to nominate Peter for Loyola.
Peter, do you consent to the Loyola Committee? Okay. Is there anyone else who'd like to nominate themselves? Yes, Esther?
I nominate Mitchell.
Mitchell, do you consent?
I do not consent.
Is there anyone else?
I do it.
Okay, so if not, Peter, why would you like to sit on the Loyola Committee?
I've been on this before again, so just to let you know, just to let you guys know, like I've been on the Loyola committee before, so I know the whole situation and how it should be able to work. So
alright.
I don't mind being on this.
Thank you. Jared?
I motion to approve Peter's nomination.
Okay, do we have a second? Salman? Is there any opposition to approving Peter? Alright, so congratulations, you're on the Loyola Committee.
Quickest one.
So I
No,
guess it
finance
wasn't because people like me. Fine, whatever.
Alright, so at this point we are on the Concordia Council on Student Life, not the Concordia on Student Life. Eduardo, this one's yours. Isn't it?
Yes, but I believe Salmon put it on the agenda.
Yes.
So right now we have spots open on CCSL, but we've already have 4 counselors on it. Generally, we're supposed to be 2 counselors and only, and the rest are supposed to be students at larges. The rest need to be appointed from appointments committee. I already think we're too many counselors on this committee, so I don't know why it's on the agenda. But
do you want to clarify?
If I'm not wrong, we decided on the RCM happened this building, 3rd floor, I don't remember the date, and we appointed Lindsay for that seat. I don't know what was the reason behind. There was a reason that there were like 4 leftovers in the member at large, and appointments committee decided that for two out of 4 member at large, it would be 2 counselors, and then we appointed Esther and Lindsay on it. Since Lindsay resigned, so I thought there's an empty seat.
Do you want to clarify, Chris?
Yeah, so I can speak to that. Basically, there was a point where appointments committee couldn't meet, so we decided to accelerate the appointment process for Council on Student Life. We just put some counselors in. That would speed up the process. Now, there's two decisions that council can make right now. Considering a past councillor resigned and there's an opening that was once granted to a councillor exists, one person in this room could take that position. That would be perfectly fine. Or we could leave this to students at large, which appointments committee will take care of.
Eduardo?
Because it's a university committee, Lindsay hasn't, I've messaged her to see if she was also resigning from CCSL, and she hasn't informed me that she resigned from CCSL, so they're distinctly split.
Yeah, because she's not holding a counselor position, is she?
Yeah, because technically it's just we appointed her as a representative, not as a counselor.
Okay.
So,
I mean,
do you wanna?
I'd say the line there is kind of muddled, and we could pretty much say whichever, right? We could say we appointed her as a counselor, it's perfectly fair.
I mean, do we want to get clarification before proceeding on this? Does everyone feel comfortable with that? Getting clarification from Lindsay if she's resigning? Sean?
Well, not Lindsay, but I'm still not entirely certain what this committee is or what it does, why it's different.
Do you want to clarify, Eduardo?
yeah, so this committee is basically very similar to the other committee. We're again a granting body. We grant twice a year. The other thing is that we also, like, it's a university committee, so it's half students, half faculty, and we all meet and we discuss generally larger projects. The other thing is that while the committee is not granting money, we also brainstorm ideas that will make school life better on campus. It's a really interesting committee because you get a very different perspective of the university, how the faculty sees it, and how the faculty is trying to obviously improve it. That being said, I still don't know if Lindsay technically would have to be unapproved by them or send a resignation to them. She would have to message Andrew Woodall.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find what the standing regulation on CCS, or if we have a standing. That's the thing, we don't have anything on CCSL, so it's not us who governs them. James?
Could we, in theory, could we make a motion to appoint whatever person once Lindsay resigns, have that be effective, or, like, because from my understanding, the way that the appointment works is that, like, formally, I think it might be somebody out of the executive that tells the Andrew Woodhall who's on the committee, so just, like, when she resigns, to then have that executive tell Andrew right away.
I mean, we could if council wants to.
So that would kind of fix the, if there's an issue with that, that kind of fixes the problem, I think.
Like if there's an appetite for it, Chris?
I would highly recommend we just leave it to Eduardo to contact Andrew Woodall to sort this out tomorrow, and then he'll inform us of the results of that. Because it's possible, I know the Dean of Students is probably not as harsh as the Senate or the Board of Governors. Like, it's very possible we could just say, yeah, this person resigned, and he'll be like, okay, don't worry about it. And also, we could also contact Lindsay. Maybe she wants it, maybe she doesn't. That'll probably change how we feel about this, right? If she really wants this, I mean, I have a feeling people in this room wouldn't mind her staying as a member at large. And yeah, so I say there's no need to vote on it today. We're going into a vote blind. That's never a good idea. So let's leave it to Eduardo to check this out.
Thank you. Isaiah?
I just want to clarify something Ed had said before. Did you say that there were already too many counselors on CSL?
Yeah.
So
I think Eduardo said it.
Yeah. So in previous years, the rule would be that we would 2 counselors on CCSL. Because we did not have enough students to hold the committee, because we have to have a certain number of students to quorum on the committee, we had to rush and add another 2 counselors to fill the numbers, which we did. And at the time, we added Esther and Lindsay. Realistically, the committee should be 2 counselors, 1 or 2 executives, and then the rest are student at large.
Okay. And just to clarify, currently we have 3 or 4. Like we had 4 counselors, or we have 3 now.
We had 4.
Excluding Lindsay.
Excluding Lindsay, we had 3. Ironically enough, now Lindsay, since she dropped CSU, is technically a student at large.
Yeah, she is.
So right now we have 3 counselors.
Thank you. Salman? Esther?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'd be uncomfortable to vote on a new counselor now without consulting Lindsay.
Thank you. Hershey?
So I have 2 questions. Number 1, like, let's say if Lindsay decides to stay on as a counselor, like, what is the process for her? Number 2, what are our options right now, like that we can choose on? Like, what options do we have? Can we nominate someone now, or do we have to wait?
She's
what are
gone.
our
She's not a counselor anymore. She would be a student at large. Eduardo, do you want to clarify the?
So the process right now, I've already messaged Lindsay and she hasn't responded if she's continuing on CCSL or not. The process right now, we can either appoint someone else as a counselor to fill in a vacant seat because we still are a seat short. Or we could wait and I could ask Andrew if we could have Lindsay removed before appointing, because she could message back and say, I would like to continue CCSL, but I was not interested in continuing council, which would be completely alright of her. So we can either wait or just vote now.
Point of information.
Yes?
If even Lindsay decides to stay, she will be a member at large. Still, the councillor seat is empty.
Do you want to clarify that?
No, because there was 2 councillor seats and we're at 3 councillors.
But-
Esther, Ama, and James.
But
Thank you.
appointments committee changed that and made like that member at large into a councillor seat.
Yeah, I could also further clarify, that's the rules we have at the Dean of Students office, but they're not written anywhere on our end, so what we did was like pretty okay. I mean, it's better to stick with the conventions of the Dean of Students office, but we felt like we were in a situation. Personally, I just think we should leave this till next meeting because it's not right to take action without consulting Lindsay first.
Thank you. Emma?
I think Jeremiah mentioned that he was he applied as a student at large, right?
Yeah, but I was going for rep. I was going to represent not counselor.
Okay.
And I also raised my thing to request that we motion to vote on whether we actually do a vote about this now or not.
Yeah, are you motioning to table it?
Not motioning to, I'm not sure if that's the term, but I'm motioning to.
Yeah, so basically if you table the point, then you're voting like no, like we're voting to dismiss this and talk about it later.
So I vote to table, so I'm motioning that we table.
Okay, so do we have a second? Naomi? The current motion on the floor is to table the point until further notice, I guess. Is there any discussion, Emma?
No.
Oh, okay. Sean?
Yeah, I was just actually going to motion to postpone this further discussion until the next meeting, because it's clear that there's some information that's currently uncertain regarding the person who's involved in this, and that next meeting, hopefully we have a more concrete picture on this issue, and we can discuss it and vote on it if the vote is needed in a very informal manner.
Alright, so you are pro tabling. Okay, so all those in favor of tabling this until further notice, next meeting, whenever it comes back, please raise your placards. Sorry. 18, all those opposed, 0, and any abstentions? 1, 2, 2. Okay, so that carries. Yes, Jeremiah?
Howard asked me, because I was at Loyola, he's finished his class, and he asked, is it worth coming into the meeting now? And I'm responding to him something, do you think it's worth coming in now, or is it too late? No.
I mean, he's already excused. I mean, it's hard to say. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, it's not.
To be fair,
Yeah,
the shuttle's open, it takes 20 minutes.
It's up to him.
No. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell him. I'm telling him it's up to you, but at the same time, you were excused, so it's up. So it's
Yeah,
really.
it's really up to him.
And
Yeah.
also, we're going to be finishing soon.
All right. Yes, someone.
Since we are done with the appointments, can we take 10 minutes?
Yeah, 10-minute recess, 5 to 10. All good. Okay. Do we have a second, Aman? Okay, so 5 minutes is our goal.